2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the C3 Friday Free-For-All, where you get to come in and make this show about you and your opinions about the Carolina Panthers, man. If you want to join the show, the link to join the Streamyard is in the description of the YouTube video and the Facebook video. So yeah, man, if you want to come in and hang out and talk Carolina Panthers, this is your opportunity to do so. As always, I'm joined by my faithful brethren of the Friday Free-For-All. My man, Drew. What's going on, Drew?
What's going on, Cody? Ready for another night of the Friday Free-For-All?
Oh, boy, and we have a good one tonight, man. We have a bunch to talk about. A lot going on in Panther Nation involving our coaches, our players, our offensive line. So much to get to tonight. But as always, you know him, you love him. He's been here every Friday Free-For-All. Yeah, he looks like he's in a Cam Girl chat room, but we love him anyway. It's Nick Montiero. Nick, what's up, brother?
What's up, Cody? I'm finally back at home, but I have to hide out because there's a party going on. So I could.
So you're the party pooper tonight.
I am. But you know what? I'll be the Friday Free-For-All party pooper. How does that sound?
Yeah, I like that. And he's not on camera, but he's with us in wolf spirit with that fire ass avatar. It's my man Justin. Justin, what's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Just ready to talk some Carolina Panther football with you guys.
Yeah, man. Listen, as always, if you have not done so already, hit the like button, hit the notification bell to get an update every single time we go live, and hit the subscribe button, man. That's how you help this show grow and to get in front of eyes of more and more people. We definitely appreciate you, man. We got some of the best ones in the chat. You already know them and love them. Sideshow Rob, the Factor One, Underground West, the Real Zero Chill, Mossman 789. Fellas, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll. What we have to talk about today is something that we've basically been talking about this entire season, but apparently something has happened which has caused our coach to change his mind about offensive line formation. Matt Rhule says he is ready to start Brady Christiansen at left tackle if Cam Irving, questionable, can't go. And what I'm wondering is this, what is everyone's opinion? Why is this just happening now? Why is it now that Brady Christiansen is only just now starting to get reps and a real consideration to play left tackle? Are they just at their wits' end? They don't know what else to do? Drew, we'll start with you, man.
They're stubborn. That's what it is. Stubborn, and I hate to say it, but stupid. You draft a guy who spent his entire career at a left tackle, and then you bring him in and say, "Oh, he's going to be our right tackle," when you just signed your right tackle to a long-term extension. Makes no sense.
Yeah, it really. And also, the question that I have is, why didn't the Panthers do this against Philadelphia when Cam Irving couldn't go then? Like, is there some better edge rusher that the Eagles have that you're afraid of and you just didn't want him to go up against? This makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's like, what am I supposed to do? Sit here and complain? Because, I mean, we've been asking for this to happen all year, man. And I think what we're all hoping is that Brady Christiansen is able to go in and be our left tackle of the future, man. That I've said before the season started, that would be a dream scenario if the Panthers drafted their franchise left tackle in the 3rd round this year. Man, that would be a dream come true. And I'm so puzzled as to why it's just happening now, Nick. It just doesn't. It makes no sense to me.
I mean, we've been telling them for years to address the O-line. Cody, you started the build the wall movement, okay? And I've been right there behind you every step of the way. I feel like a solid offense can't run without a solid O-line. And the fact that we didn't address it until the 3rd round of the draft was a major issue. Don't get me wrong, I love Terrence Marshall Jr., but I wish that we had drafted someone in the 2nd round. Don't get me wrong, Brady Christiansen might play out to be a great player, but we don't know what he's going to be yet. And the fact that we're this far into the season, especially with who we've played, we should have played Brady Christiansen at left tackle throughout the preseason and against the Jets. We have gone from having one of the easiest schedules in the NFL to now having arguably the most difficult. And this is now we're going to start doing this. I don't know what the deal is with this coaching staff, but I'm not necessarily liking a lot of the moves that they've made, especially on offense.
I feel like a lot of the things that they say and a lot of the things that they do, especially here recently, and with the performances that we've had, there's not a lot to inspire confidence in these coaches right now. And again, Matt Rhule in training camp said they viewed the rookie as a right tackle or even a guard, again, mainly because of his length and how they prefer longer arms and length at the left side. Again, man, this is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to do nothing but crunch numbers and look at data and analytics on how often guys with a certain length of arm end up panning out as a left tackle, fine, do that. But you're not talking football anymore. I mean, you're talking averages and numbers. You're not talking about looking at a player's film and determining what they can and can't do based on that film alone. And they viewed him as a 2nd-round guard, even though they hardly ever saw him play that position at BYU. Justin, help this make sense to me, man. Because as of right now, it just doesn't.
Bro, I'm honestly trying to come up with some positive way to flip it, and I can't. Like, you said it, others have said it, I've been saying it, listening to you guys and watching the game. The dude played left tackle his entire college career. And as you said, they viewed him as a 2nd round. His talent was 2nd round guard, 3rd round left tackle. But our starting left guard gets injured and you didn't put him in. None of this is truly making sense. And if he goes out, if Christensen goes out there at the left tackle position and he holds it down, it's gonna be dope because it's like, we got a left tackle moving forward. At the same time, it's like, it's just, for me, it's gonna raise even more questions about Blastoise. Like, should he have been in guard?
Yeah.
Jordan, the guard that they brought in, Michael Jordan, was with the team for a week, 2 weeks, and he was able to get playing time, but you wouldn't give Brown any. Like I'm trying to think of a positive way of spinning it, but nah, man, it ain't make it as I apologize, I forgot your damn name that quick, but you said it. They're just being stubborn. Drew, you said it. Shit ain't making sense, man. They just being stubborn.
They're being very stubborn, man. And then it's like, how much egg do they have on their face if he ends up looking good? And you've had this guy the whole time, and you're sitting him on the bench for Cam Irving, dude. I'm telling you, man. As time goes on, I feel like this season is the first season, and not just because we're losing. Obviously, that's a main part of it, but I feel like now we're starting to get a good feel of Matt Rhule and who he is as a coach. And I just think there's a lot of shit that he has yet to learn. And he's kind of learning it on the fly the hard way. I mean, I don't know if it's the difference in managing a college football roster to a professional football roster. I don't know, man. But I just, it makes zero sense to me. But again, we're all pulling for the dude. Like, if Brady Christiansen ends up being a badass left tackle, then it's like, yeah, dude, us fans were correct. It's something that should have happened a long time ago, and he should have been given a point to prove that he couldn't play left tackle before they just decided that it's something that he can't do. It's so dumb to me.
If I may, I want, like, as you were talking, I was thinking, because they had no problem starting rookies last year and this year on the defensive side of the ball. And it leads me to believe that the coordinators have something to do with it. I feel that because Snow is older and more experienced, he knows what he's doing for the most part, even though he's a rookie NFL DC. I feel that Snow was essentially telling Rhule, like, no, these are the guys. Like, if Rhule wanted to start someone else, Snow was like, no, this guy, he's gonna do well. We're gonna go forward with this guy, that guy. Whereas Brady, where we've all called Brady out for his play calling, I think that also plays a factor into his. It also plays a factor into his the personnel. If Brady knew what he was doing, there's a possibility that he would have had the rookies out there already. But I'm just speculating, saying all that.
Yeah, and then inevitably, man, whenever we talk about this, we get the people that come in here and they're like, oh, well, we don't see him at practice every day, so our coaches know something that we don't. And yeah, like, of course that might be a possibility. But why would I believe that, though? It runs, parallel to everything that I've known about this coaching staff, is that they're going to mismanage the offensive line. And they were going to find themselves in positions just like this, where they were going to be forced to do this anyway. I mean, how long have we been saying that this should have been something that we were doing before training camp? Like, they viewed Christensen as a right tackle, so I'm like, well, fine. If you view him as a right tackle, then put him there so we can start to play and then move Taylor to the left side. But now it makes even that seem counterproductive if now you don't even adhere to this arm length bullshit enough that now you're going to play Brady Christiansen on the left side. It's like speaking out of both sides of their mouth, man. Hey, shout out to Sideshow Rob. Counterintuitive. It seems very counterintuitive. And I've been saying that for a while now, man.
Yeah, I mean, logically speaking, and I've said it before, if you have a guy that played a specific position for the majority of his college career, especially being that he's a rookie, you want to put guys in positions to succeed. You never want to ask someone to do something that they're uncomfortable with doing, or something like
right.
A cornerback, for instance. They might be an exceptional man coverage corner, but they struggle in zone. Well, logically speaking, perfect what you're good at, and while you're perfecting what you're good at, work on what you struggle with so that you can become an all-around great player. Them saying that, like, Christensen played left tackle his entire career, but they wanted to put him at right tackle, as you were stating. If that's what you wanted to do, then this should have been done much earlier. But logically, it would have been, all right, you're a left tackle in college. Let's see what you got as a left tackle in the NFL.
Sure.
And go on from there. Like, best case scenario is you got a guy who can play both sides very well. Like, Moulton goes down, and you can throw Christensen over there and bring in another guy who can hold it down. But off rip, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to be. It could have been him, and again, I'm trying to spin it in a positive light. It could have been Rhule trying to, like give you some eye candy, like, yeah, I'm gonna say this, but this is actually what I'm doing. But at the same, it seems like what he was saying was exactly what he was trying to do.
Yeah, and again, man, I'm looking at this entire offensive line situation and just see how it's been so mismanaged. Dude, look, let me welcome in some more people to the Friday Free For All. One, let me welcome back Nick. Nick, you with us? All right, we'll go back to Nick. Nick will be with us in a minute. I know he'll be here in a sec. This man is a fan of the South Carolina Gamecocks, and that's all that needs to be said. It's Kevin Boshoven.
What's
Kevin,
up?
What's up, brother? What up?
Not much. Lost track of time. I forgot.
Hey, you better not fucking make fun of me too bad if Pitt destroys Clemson tomorrow, okay? I don't want to hear shit.
I'm gonna make hella fun of you.
Bro, we play Texas A&M tomorrow. I don't think we have any room to speak.
Oh, if we're gonna lose.
Yeah, y'all for sure losing.
We have already doubled our win total last year. I'm happy.
All right, but also joining us, Panther Rhule. Kenneth,
Hey,
what's up,
boy.
brother?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to hear that Brady Christiansen is going to get his shot. I wonder. I've been listening to your conversation a little bit. I wonder, and it's just a guess. Do you think maybe that the coaching staff and the short arms excuse? And yeah, I said it was an excuse. The short arms excuse isn't believed by everybody in the building. I wonder if finally someone's pushed the coaches, maybe Rhule, maybe not Rhule, maybe somebody like the GM, Tep or somebody's pushed them to say to give the guy a shot. Maybe it's. I've heard that it's Scott Fitter who don't believe in the short arms, but I can't see that the GM has that much control over whether a player plays a certain position or not.
Yeah, if I'm the head coach, I'm telling my GM to shut his mouth.
If
I have a guy on the football team and I feel like he can help out right now at left tackle, then yeah, I'm not passing on that guy.
Right.
And I think a lot of it too is going back to Matt Rhule and his philosophy of wanting versatile position players, like guys that can play more than one position. Right. And I feel like he just feels like if you draft a good enough athlete, you would just be able to plug them and play them. But and to some degree in the modern NFL, it definitely does benefit a player.
It's a plus if they can do that. But
yeah, if you have the ability to be versatile and play another position, that's great. But it also isn't necessarily true for everyone.
No.
And again, especially being that this has been Brady Christiansen's natural position, it needs they needed the opportunity to make it happen. And I'll tell you this, Kenneth, if it did take someone like David Tepper stepping in to make this happen, dude, that's another slight against the decision making of these coaches right now.
Right. I'm not 100% for Rhule. I'm really not. And if I had to grade it good to bad, I would say I've seen more negative marks for Rhule than positive.
Especially this season, and especially especially recently. And by the way, it's not like you could blame us for a recency bias. I mean, this team has lost to two football teams that couldn't get it together, yet they were able to do everything well against us. Dude, it's just insane, man.
You think he's over his head? Like the pressure's getting to him? Because he
I don't know.
The win. That was a dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire at Baylor.
Honestly, I could see that because if you look at the Rhule's reactions this week, you look at his statements this week, it seems like he's aware that the pressure's on. Somewhere the pressure's on. maybe not job pressure, maybe for right now power pressure. Maybe Tepper's like, listen, if you can't get it done, then if you can't handle being in total control of the roster, maybe we need to let Scott do a little bit more. Some pressure like that. I mean, I'm not impressed with and I'm honestly, no offense against Scott Fitterer, but I'm not impressed with his. And granted, it's his first year, so I try not to be too judgmental. But I'm not impressed with his ability or his issue right now. There's a guard Kansas City paid a lot of money for, fresh from the Patriots. Granted, he was out last year. Former Pro Bowl guard, looks real good. Would fit real good here. He was sitting there on the first day of free agency, and Scott went with Elfline instead of this dude. I can't remember this dude's name right now. Thunder or Thunders or something. I used to get him off.
Yeah, and by the way, when you listen to Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer talk about Cam Irving and Pat Elflein, they'll basically outright just admit that we had some holes on the team and we needed to fill those holes. And they even said, we know that Cam Irving and Pat Elflein had some injuries, but we think that they can turn it around and that they have the talent to do it here in Carolina. By the way, two of the most important positions on your football team, left tackle and left guard, and you're just going to get it to any old who's my fucking.
Right.
Like, it makes no sense to me, bro. I wanted to go ahead, Drew.
I was just saying that was a crock of crap because that
it was.
They didn't want to spend the money. They didn't want to spend the money for somebody like Joe.
Exactly.
True. And real quick, shout out to 89 J Stubbs. Look at Penei Sewell. He struggled at right tackle, and that's true, man. Again, some people are better at one position than another, man. And I think if they show practice and if they show patience, and they're able to really make a presence known at a certain specific position, then you should let them play that position. It's very simple. I want to move on to this. I told this to Nick and Drew before the show, and I'm saving it until now. Joe Brady was at the microphone, and Joe Brady was asked about the LSU job. And I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you all hear Joe Brady respond, and I'll let you tell me for yourselves what you think of Joe Brady's answer about whether or not he's willing to go to LSU.
Coach Joe, have you reached out to him since this happened?
Yeah, no, I didn't really have any thoughts. Unfortunately for us, we just came off of a loss, when all that stuff came out. So that was the last. There's a lot more things on my mind, so I don't really have many thoughts with that. I had a great experience, my time in there, but I was way more concerned with our performance, this past Sunday and finding ways for us to improve it this Sunday.
Interest you, or do you want to stay on the NFL level, or
all those things, from a coaching perspective, are things that I don't really pay a lot of attention to. It's one of those things like after seasons, I think about those things, but right now I got to do a better job of being the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, and that's all I'm really concerned about right now.
So, in case you missed it, after season, I think about those things. He said, after the season, I'll play it one more time.
Those things, but right now, I got to do a better job of being the offensive coordinator for the Carolina. Pay a lot of attention to. It's one of those things like after seasons, I think about those things, but right now, I got to do a better job of being the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers.
So, let me tell you what that says to me. If the Panthers go 3-14, ask me that same question again, because I might have a different answer for you, bro. And listen, it goes back to all the criticisms that Panther Nation has been having about Joe Brady, about him just, not being good in the third quarter, coming out flat, not having a very innovative offense when you're minus McCaffrey. And then the first moment that he has an opportunity to shut down any rumors about him going back to LSU, instead he leaves the door wide open. Like, dude,
if he gets the job offer, he's going to take it. I mean, if he gets the offer, he's going to take it. It doesn't really surprise me.
I don't think he gets the offer. I think they talk to him. If you're going to hire a head coach for college, let's just college, you have to recruit people. You have to bring a staff in. in reality, not being offensive, he wasn't even an offensive coordinator there.
Nope.
He was a passing game coordinator.
Yep.
He was a wide receiver coach.
He called
third down wide receivers, and it would call the red zone.
Yeah,
which is funny because that's been the biggest critique.
Exactly. So if you're looking for a head coach, why do you pick Joe Brady? Other than the fact the media said he was great.
Yeah, and by the way, like no one is a head coach from the booth or from the box. Does that make sense still? I always found it weird that his name was connected to head coaching jobs, but you're never a head coach from the booth, like calling plays from up above the stadium. Like wouldn't you want to be on the sideline and like be showing yourself to be like, yeah, I'm head coach material. I can call plays here with the guys on field level. And
I felt like all our offensive
being like Byron Leftwich and Eric Bieniemy.
Yes, 100% on the field calling plays.
Right.
Or even like or a better example is like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, guys that are the head coach, but they're also calling the plays in that offense. You figured that's what the NFL wants Joe Brady to be on the next level. So, hey, man, dress the part for the job you want, right?
Right.
So it's
he doesn't want to be on that sideline because he don't want that smoke from them receivers.
Robbie Anderson might come down on him.
Well,
man.
to be honest, Robbie needs to catch the ball before he worries about smoking somebody.
Yeah, that's true too, man.
Because when you get the ball landed on you and you can't catch it, that never seemed to be a Steve Smith problem. Steve Smith dropped the ball. He always owned up to it.
Our last 5 offensive coordinators felt like they'd been in the booth.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time his offensive coordinator was on the sideline for us.
Joe Brady actually came down from the booth in didn't he do it a couple games or a game last year? But he didn't stay down there. I'm curious to see if it's a rule once his guy's up there to see the field or if it's a choice matter. I'm just real curious to see why he's up there. Is it his?
Would be with him. You go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say my question is like with him being up in the booth, you would think that he like I'm kind of getting annoyed with myself for repeating it, but you go back and watch that Vikings game. The Vikings were doing on offense what I've been saying Brady needs to do with Sam, this entire season, like to mitigate the pressure we would create or could create. It was a lot of three-step drops, or they roll Cousins out of the pocket. They stuck with the run. So play action was something that you had to, like, anytime they would go play action, it was something we had to be concerned about. For whatever reason, Brady seems to, I don't know if he's the same thing, stubborn, just being stubborn, like, no, I'm going to fix Sam by having Sam do all the things they were asking him to do in New York that he struggled to do. We're just going to keep at it until he gets better at it, as opposed to making the game easier for him, cutting off a portion of the field so he doesn't have to read everything, getting him out of the pocket, knowing that your offensive line can't hold their blocks for very long. Him sitting up in the booth, logic would dictate why aren't you doing these things? I worry about that in the offseason. You should have been worried about how you could put your players in the best position to succeed. If he gets the head coaching offer, and I hope the guy he takes, and I hope Pepper and Fitterer like Rhule, you need to get a fucking veteran OC. Matter of fact, I say veteran OC. Rhule needs to go to McVay's wide receiver or quarterback coach, someone who works directly with McVay or Shanahan. He needs to go and get one of those guys because they actually – McVay is an offensive genius. Andy Reid is an offensive genius. The Saints head coach,
Sean Payton, yeah.
Those guys know what the hell they're doing. I'm not like all the blame can't be taken off of Sam for his decision making. Like the interception he threw in the first play of the last game. That's decision making. But when you're putting your players in a position to fail, like you're putting them in a position to fail. We're running the ball fairly well. I don't know if anybody's paid attention to it. The Dallas game, the Eagles game, the Viking game, we were running the ball fairly fucking well. The other team went up by another score, and Brady just completely abandoned the fucking run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I don't understand it. The real Zero Chill says he's up there asking Google. Yeah, I mean, listen. How about this, man? Like one of the things that I've continuously said over the course of this season is I just don't want to delay the inevitable, man. If something is destined to happen, then do it early. Like, I have already accepted in my mind that Joe Brady is done after this season. Because, one, why is he going to want to go through another first year with another quarterback if Sam isn't the guy? I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. If it's another, if it's Deshaun Watson or if it's another guy that you drafted, if it doesn't look like Sam Darnold is the guy, then why would Joe Brady want to stay here with them even longer? Then you have to think about if LSU does take him, dude, I mean, the fans are already upset with the play calling. Like, even if he had an incredible year with us, let's say he was the dream offensive coordinator and did everything that we wanted him to do and masterminded a perfect offense for the Panthers, well, he's gone in a year anyway. So it's like, no matter what, we're set to lose Joe Brady, man. Honestly, I'm tired of talking about him. I think his face is starting to look more and more smug the more that we continue to lose. I think he's been branded as some kind of offensive wonderkind, and we have all yet to see it. Man,
he's not.
Yeah, he's kind of proven himself.
Our coaching staff cannot make adjustments. As I was talking to Cody and Nick before the show. Yeah. They had over a year and a half to figure out how to run an offense without Christian McCaffrey, and they still have not figured out a way to do it. But Stefanski in Cleveland, no starting quarterback, starting receivers are out, no top running backs are out, and they still find a way to win. Why? Because they built the wall up front and they ran the damn football.
Yeah.
You're
Isn't
right.
that crazy what an offensive line can do for you?
Yeah, some of those guys.
The crazy thing about it is, because I can't recall if I said this before or someone else said it. We didn't need to take Terrace in the second round. We didn't need to take Chuba when we took him, and we didn't need that long snapper. No. There are offensive linemen currently starting or contributing to their team that we could have fucking drafted and possibly fixed our O-line right then and there.
Yep. There are free agents we could have took.
Like Terrace's production hasn't been anything out of this world. Chuba's been solid, but like the Thursday night game showed you, you can get any running back, any running back with any kind of talent behind a solid offensive line. Like that dude looked like he should have been starting right along with Chubb and
man.
Everybody thought that Terrence Marshall getting drafted meant Robbie Anderson was out the door. Nobody expected Robbie Anderson to get a new deal.
No.
And here's the crappy thing, because I've been floating this around. They might be trying to shop DJ because of that Terrace pick. You re-sign Robbie, you draft Terrace knowing damn well you got a number one receiver that's ready to get paid.
That's dumb.
Charles Leno was the starting left tackle for the Bears for several years. He went to a few Pro Bowls. He was really, fact is, he went to the 2019 Pro Bowl. His first Pro Bowl was 2002. But he was released on May the 3rd of this year. He didn't go through the wire, but he was available as soon as he was released. But yet his coaching staff and this general manager were so concentrated that Cam Irving was going to be that guy that we didn't even approach him, and he ended up signing with Washington and has been Washington's starting left tackle since. That's a free agent we could have went after. There are free agents. You don't even have to go through the draft. Pick and choose. I'd have been all right if they got him or a left tackle and maybe a guard in free agency or guard in the draft, but they just didn't.
Yeah, and they essentially, I mean, they've even pretty much admitted as much that as soon as they had holes that they knew that they had to fill in free agency, they just went and signed Irving and Elflein. It's just so it's not doing your due diligence, and at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe if they can get over their injury history, they can be a good player. Well, you all know what I say about if.
Bottom of the barrel players that nobody wanted.
Yeah, man. Hey, by the way, shout out to 89 J Stubbs for the $2. Says Slater, Creed, and Trey Smith. Yeah, these are all players that the Panthers could have had. But
and
again, man, it's like
I'm still not upset
for how poor Paradis Irving has not been like Pro Bowl, but he hasn't been the issue each and every game. The pressure's been coming from the middle. We all said that. We could have drafted a fucking future center and possibly been like, hey, Paradis, you struggling right now. Go ahead and throw the rookie in and see. Like, I honestly believe a fresh body, just a young cat that's strong as hell, somebody that ain't gonna let a fucking defender just bull rush them. Or Paradis has been getting walked into Sam like, bro, do you not have any dignity as a player to just let these dudes move you out? Like you are a paperweight. You're the new Speed Bump McGee.
I definitely see that, but could you imagine if we take John Miller out and we had Trey Smith sitting there at right guard, him and Moten on the right side, double teaming and breaking off, getting to the second level?
And man, I'm telling you, there's still no guarantee that you're not going to see that from Deontay Brown. When Deontay Brown finally gets on the field,
I'm excited to see him when he comes back.
Even better if you had got Trey Smith and Deontay Brown.
Right, you got both of them.
Guard position is set.
Now your offensive line is looking a little bit different now, isn't it? Go ahead, Nick.
He could have fixed his offensive line in this past draft, along with getting Horn and then Crowley.
Yeah,
I know that would have been it. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm definitely not upset at Horn. Like, even though he only played for 3 games, what we saw in those 3 games was top notch. Okay, and it's gonna be a position that we're solid at for the next 5 years. Okay, with our defense being the way it is, we're definitely gonna have to re-sign guys, and that might mean letting DJ walk. Unfortunately, I hate it. I don't like it. I wish it wouldn't come to that. I would rather have signed DJ over Robbie. But
that's the reason why I keep saying trade DJ now, as opposed to just letting him walk and getting absolute no value for him. Like,
I
you need taking a third round pick.
I think you're right. If things start falling apart, I can see them moving DJ. If they don't plan on re-signing him, I see them moving him at the trade deadline.
I think they have to. Who else?
And for anybody that might be questioning it, don't think that I'm saying this because I don't like DJ. As I've said, I would have preferred. First and foremost, I'd have preferred to pay Kirko what he wanted in order to keep him, and then I wanted to trade Robbie last year. Yeah, and right now I would have preferred to pay DJ as opposed to them extending Robbie. It's stuck with the contract as it is.
I understand what you're saying, but in my opinion, if they're going to pick a person to trade, I would actually trade. And I know he's just a captain, but you got to think about trading Jackson, the corner, as well as maybe even. And he's right now he's leading our team in sacks. But just think of what you're going to get if you put Riddick on the trading block. What you can get with him?
Just because he's a rule guy.
Well, to me that's irrelevant because he's off. Rule has cut. Well, I don't know. Rule's cutting, but other rule players have been released.
Yeah, but think about how they would look to the players.
Yeah, but
trade a captain away.
But if the cap guy, and the GM says there's no way we can keep him next year, he's wanting too much money for us to re-sign him next year, then he ain't going to be here. Regardless.
Let me ask you all this, because one of the things that I've always said about Marty Herney is that he never looked forward to these exact scenarios, right? I was saying this on the podcast before the trade deadline last year. I'm on record as saying if Curtis Samuel is not a part of your future plans and this is not a playoff football team, why are you not looking to trade Curtis Samuel right now and get some value for him? Trade him to the Packers. Trade him to a team that's trying to make a playoff push, and that would be a nice piece to a championship squad. Then you're also doing right by Curtis Samuel, by putting him in a situation that he's never been in before. But I wanted to stick on this idea of when do the Panthers need to start looking at trading players? Because right now, going into this Giants game, the Panthers have no reason to lose, y'all. The Giants are missing Saquon Barkley. They have no Kenny Galladay. They have no Kadarius Toney. Oh, and by the way, Evan Ingram, John Ross, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton are all questionable. So what my question to you is this. If the Panthers lose this, is our season over? Like, are we already at that point where we're like, dude, trade Dante, trade DJ, get all the picks possible, and just burn this thing to the ground? Where are we at right now? And I'll
over.
Here, so we'll go to Nick, and then we'll go to Drew.
So basically, when we started the season, okay, we had one of the easiest seasons in the NFL. I mean, given the start of the season, there's no reason why we couldn't be, 5-1 right now is where we really should be. But there was still a possibility where we could have been 6-0 if all of our players were healthy. We didn't lose Christian McCaffrey, we didn't lose J.C. Horn. Okay, but now that we've gone through the first 6 weeks of the season, we now actually have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Okay?
Yeah.
On top of that, we don't have a solid O-line. We don't have those answers. We have a offensive coordinator that we just don't trust, who hasn't shown up to play. We've been making stupid, boneheaded mistakes. As much as I hate to say it, if we lose this week, we better be starting to play our backups. We better start to see what we really have in those guys. We better get this O-line figured out in the best possible combination for, next year and not this year. Because we aren't going to be competitive in games. We might be competitive, but we won't be competitive compared to the rest of the NFL.
Think about all the first-round picks you can get with all those trades, dude. Like, Dante would be a first-round pick.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if Dante would be a first-round pick. Honestly, look, if I'm being very real, I think there's only 2 players on our team right now. No, 3. I'll say there's 3 players on our team that could go for a first. That's Brian Burns, DJ Moore, and McCaffrey. Everyone else, I think it's still a question. Hey, real quick, let me add my man Brad to this discussion. Brad, what's going on, bro?
Oh, I just got off work. Figured I'd chime in for a little bit.
Yeah, man, dude, happy to have you, man. But what are your thoughts on if the Panthers lose to the Giants while they're so injured and so beat up? Is the season over? Should we be looking to trade players? And if so, who?
I think we're already kind of there, right? I mean, I do think at this point we should be sellers rather than buyers at the trade deadline. I mean, I think one prime target, if you're not going to extend him, Dante Jackson should go. I mean, there are plenty of competitive teams out there that are missing cornerback depth, and he's a prime candidate to be traded. It also begs the question, are we going to extend DJ Moore or not? We're already paying one wide receiver and a running back. So as good as DJ Moore is, are they giving him the running back treatment? Or are they just going to wait till his 5th year is over and then franchise tag him and ride that train out? Or are we actually intent on extending him? Because if we're not, then it might be best for both parties for him to be traded off as well.
Yeah, and I think we were having this discussion when they signed Robbie Anderson. It's like, who do you really want to be a part of your long-term plans? And I think it's so funny that we have this conversation about Fitterer and, different specifications about arm length at different positions. All this very by-the-books kind of bullshit. Yet, in the same vein, there's also this mindset of there are positions that you pay and positions that you don't. And running back and wide receiver are the 2 positions that you don't normally just want to sink a bunch of money into. So, right. Again, signing the receiver and not the corner, I don't know, man. There's just been a lot of questionable decisions. And, listen, I really don't think that the Panthers are a shoo-in to win this. Like, let me ask y'all this. how confident are you feeling about this team right now going up to New York on the road? They have so many different injuries. How are we feeling about this matchup? Like,
I'm 100%.
It's a pick 'em, honestly. That's how I feel. I mean,
okay.
I really, on paper, we should absolutely wallop them, right? But I do think we have a definitive deficit when it comes to the quarterback situation. I think Daniel Jones is better than Sam Darnold. I mean, that's just the reality. And as much as everybody wants to slam Daniel Jones, I mean, he's got some wheels on him too. He's not easy to tackle. So, I mean, I do not, you look on the schedule and you see typically at the beginning of the season and you can see, okay, that's a game we should win. That's a game we should lose. That's a game we should win. This is a game we absolutely should win, which in Carolina fashion makes me definitely think we're going to lose it.
Yeah, and dude, how much would that suck? Losing 3 games in a row to the NFC East, man. Like, these are the teams that always invade our stadiums. They always talk a bunch of shit with us whenever they win. And it's like, man, these are the games that you need to win, man. If no one respects the Carolina Panthers, you have to go and earn that respect. You have to go out there and you have to take that respect. And the fact that, that we're not even confident in this team to go up there and do it. And I think it's the fact that we're not confident in the offensive line. And, that's part of the reason why I'm just interested to see what Brady Christiansen does at left tackle. I mean, could it be that adding that one piece to the left side of our offensive line kind of makes things a little better? I don't know. And then we also have Matt Rhule telegraphing to the entire world, hey, everybody, we're running the football. So, now they know exactly what the plan of attack is.
Well, we're 8th in the NFL for rushing attempts as it is right now anyway, right? So I actually looked some of this stuff up. We're as far as our offensive line is concerned, we're ranked 30th when it comes to pass blocking. We're ranked 28th when it comes to run blocking. We're not a particularly good running team either.
So who's worse than us though?
Let me go look really quick.
I'm just curious.
Probably it has to be the Texans, the Jaguars, the Jets. Probably one of those 3 teams.
Run blocking win rate that are worse than us: the Texans, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Patriots.
Wow, the Patriots, I believe. Patriots.
For as far as pass blocking is concerned, it's only the Texans and the Dolphins.
Oh, man, dude, we're one of the bottom of the barrel offensive lines, and that's why none of us have a real confident pick to pick the Panthers, man. I mean, yeah, maybe some of us do. I mean, again, I think that we're gonna win. Like, I'll spoil it right now. I'm not picking the Giants to win. If I can't pick the Panthers to beat this team,
exactly,
then it's dude, this season is donezo, man. It's a
This
bust.
is one of those Panther games that we're all pessimistic about them winning. We want them to win, but this is one of those games that, okay, out of the blue, they'll end up putting like 35 or 40 up.
I have a feeling it's that.
Or how about a last minute?
This all season.
How about a last minute Graham Gano field goal?
Yeah, I would never pick his revenge. That'd be horrible.
Even more disgusting, dude.
See, when I was doing my pick'ems earlier today, right before I went to work, I picked the Panthers to win it, but I did not feel good about it. I mean, at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but it feels like this is just a contest between 2 kind of crappy teams, and it's a matter of we're the less crappy team, and that's about it. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way that the last 3 weeks has rolled out. I mean, it's not a good feeling. I mean, and my biggest takeaway with the Panthers, and I've been saying this for a while, and it says, in my Twitter bio, it specifically says this: they're not well coached. I mean, if you look at game management decisions and everything else, even their tackling's gotten sloppy. They're not playing good football. And that stops and stops really with the coach.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants fans have not been happy with their team, obviously. Their entire offensive line is busted and hurt. They're missing all these different players. Like, again, man, the Panthers have no reason to lose this. And honestly, to get some steam, to get some momentum before we play the Falcons. How about this? Ever since they've had that new stadium, Megatron's butthole down there in Atlanta, the Panthers have not won in that stadium. We have yet to win in the new Mercedes Stadium in Atlanta, man. So beating the Giants before you go and play your division rival, dude, this could be what the Panthers need, man. And how about this? It's kind of boom or bust on this. Drew, I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to mention what you were talking about before the show about McCaffrey, and that the coaches are used to being without him. So it makes it all the more unacceptable.
He's missed 18 out of the last, well, after this, I think 18 out of the last 24 games. And you mean to tell me in that time period, you have not figured out how to put a successful game plan together without having McCaffrey involved? It's unbelievable. That's just
The thing for me that irritates the crap out of me, like with the Chuba pick, there's little doubt in my mind that they could have gotten Chuba later, if not as a undrafted free agent. Like they could have gotten him later in the rounds. But the Panthers offense, I've heard a lot of people say it's predicated on CMC. I don't believe that's the actual case. I believe it's predicated on having a running back with pass catching, like a running back with wide receiver skills, a running back that can actually catch the ball. The problem with that is they essentially cut all the running backs that were on the roster that could fill in for CMC. They brought Bonifant back. He's on the practice squad right now. But they got rid of pretty much every other running back that had similar skill set to CMC. So you eliminate that facet, that aspect of the offense, and now Sam is essentially pressing the ball more, which is resulting in more interceptions. When he had CMC on the field, I have no doubt in my mind that if he had a reliable pass-catching running back, Sam wouldn't be forcing the issue as much as he has. Not saying that he wouldn't have been throwing interceptions, but I think he's been more willing to dump the ball off. So dump it up. And Chuba being like they said it, they wanted Chuba to. They don't want Chuba to try to beat CMC. They want Chuba to beat Chuba. Well, Chuba is a running back in every aspect of the word. He's purely a running back. He could work on his hands, but right now they suspect as hell. So that just
he's a downhill runner. He's not a catcher. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, and anybody who's if you watch his college tape, he was never asked to contribute in the passing game. He was asked to run downhill. That's it.
Truth. Yeah. Truth.
Every time I see him on the field, it's like, oh, it's going to be a run.
Then they need to keep Terrence Marshall Jr. in the backfield. I mean,
a lot of people said, why did we cut Rodney Smith? Isn't that the name of the running back that we cut? That was one of the better pass catching running backs on the squad.
Do what Atlanta's doing with Patterson.
Yeah.
Somebody like that in the backfield.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is why isn't.
But again, guys, it all rolls back to the draft. Why the hell did you need a long snapper? Trace was right there for the 6th round, and you took a fucking long snapper.
And we have one of the best long snappers in the NFL.
Because the owner gave the keys to the draft to a head coach who never really experienced a good draft. Don't have any experience drafting good players.
Here's the one thing that I will say about
it. Line is that bad, and we're not even at practice, and we knew the offensive line was going to be that bad.
Yep.
You have a guy. You're in the 6th round. That's when you take flyers on guys. You got a guy who, if he didn't have a small amount of health issues, I mean, he had blood clots or something like that, he would have been a first or a late first or a 2nd round draft pick. You're in the 6th round. You take a flyer on that guy. You don't take a fucking long snapper.
I agree.
Yes, 100%.
Now you got Trey Smith out there blocking on the right side with Kansas City, and I believe I tagged Cody in one on Twitter, demolishing guys.
Yeah, man, dude.
Well, Well, going back to, I mean, looking at it from the data-driven analytics perspective, right? This whole roster is not built correctly, right? The way that you're supposed to prioritize, you prioritize the quarterback position, you prioritize your pass rush, and you prioritize your pass blocking. Those are the positions where you sink your money in your draft assets, right? Or at least your higher draft picks. Yep. And I mean, as much as I know everybody loves the Derek Brown pick, I mean, look at and would relate that as a quote unquote pass rushing pick. You know, look at the reports coming out from college, right? They said straight up that at the NFL level, he would be a role contributor, probably a starter, but he wasn't going to match up well in the pass rush against bigger and more athletic offensive linemen. And so far, that's been the case, right? I mean, other than late last year when he came online and started to look the part, I mean, so far this year, he's been extremely quiet, doesn't generate much pass rush, stops the run okay, you know, but that's about it. And, you know, if you want to really talk questionable draft picks, I mean, you could question a good solid 60% of the picks that these guys have made so far.
And how about this? And I hate to use this against J.C. Horn because he was incredible for those few bit of games that we had him for. And ultimately, yeah, I still do think he's going to be a very good player for the Carolina Panthers. But what I'm talking about is he has not been on the field because he's been hurt. Then we're talking about we haven't had a second-round pick really do much this year in Terrace Marshall Jr. Now, again, who do you want to put the blame on? I think you could, you know, that varies. You could put it on Joe Brady. Sure, you could put some on Terrace Marshall himself. But then, like, we're week 7, and we're just now seeing our third-round pick. Yeah. So it's like really one was because of injury, but the first 3 picks of our draft haven't done anything for us outside of that little bit with J.C. Horn to start. So,
well, Cody, you're talking about, you know, we're just now doing something with the first 3 picks in the draft. Think about this. You know, again, back to the offensive line is bad. Why would you go and double down on wide receiver and take Shi Smith? You're finally going to put him in. You're talking about he may get 15 snaps.
But that goes back to my original statement about DJ Moore, right? They've been stocking up on wide receiver. They paid Robbie Anderson.
Which was the wrong receiver to pay.
It was the wrong receiver.
They don't have to pay DJ this year.
No,
they picked up his 5th-year option, so they don't have to pay him this season.
Unless he holds out next season, which he very well could do.
Which he could do.
And if I were him, I would, because to be quite honest, like, you know, he's going to earn himself the bag. I mean, that's just the reality. And somebody is going to be willing to pay him. So is it a question of, do we want to be the team that pays him, or do we want to get we'll let him walk out the door, or do we want to get something in return?
And then
I'd honestly be willing to bet that he ends up on the same team as Aaron Rodgers. Because let's face it, Aaron Rodgers would love to have DJ Moore as a receiver to throw.
That depends on where Aaron Rodgers is.
DJ Moore would be one of the top guys I signed.
This is supposed to be one of the last years that he plays with the Packers. So,
I know he says it every year, but
and listen. By the way, if you're DJ Moore, go get paid, man. You've had 1,000 yards almost every year, and you have had a who's who of average quarterbacks coming through and throwing you the football. And dude, it's just one of those scenarios where you don't have that many opportunities in the NFL to make real NFL money. The problem is do you want the Panthers to be that team to pay that money if we're still looking at having to potentially upgrade our quarterback position next year? If Sam Darnold isn't the guy, are we going to get some other guy to hopefully reliably get DJ the ball? Is it going to be a rookie, or are we bringing someone in to do it? Like, I don't know, man.
No, they can't get a rookie quarterback. You get a rookie quarterback, you're starting over. I mean, you're starting from ground zero with Rhule at that point. You cannot
not to mention that would be that would be an indictment on the coach. Like if I said this before, if Rhule and company decide to move on from Sam Darnold, the only reason why I feel Rhule will stay is because him and Snow are pretty much a package deal. Brady, on the other hand, would need to be fired because they brought Sam in. They brought Teddy in saying that Teddy could run the offense. They moved on from him. They brought Sam in claiming that they could help him. They could coach him out of his bad decision making, this, that, and the third. Yet we see that he still has those habits, in part due to them asking him, in part due to them putting him in a bad position. If they can't coach Sam up to be a better quarterback, that is an indictment on the coaching staff. Yep. Like I said, the only reason why Rhule stays is because I want to keep Snow. But I'd have if we lose this Giants game because we can't put points on the board, Brady ass will be catching a passenger flight back from New York. He wouldn't be the OP of the team anymore.
Brady's going to get a head coaching job somewhere next year, whether that's in LSU, whether that's with the Raiders. He's going to get a head coaching job somewhere.
Dude, you can just.
I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but I'm going to tell you this. If at the end of the season, David Tepper does not feel sold on Sam Darnold, he's going to do whatever he has to do in order to get Aaron Rodgers to Carolina.
Mm-hmm. But Aaron Rodgers isn't going to want to come to Carolina.
If he has to tell Aaron, I will revamp the entire offensive line. You handpick who you want. We'll figure out the money later. We'll figure out the salary cap later. We'll end up like the Saints, $100 million over the salary cap next season afterwards. But if he's not sold on Sam Darnold, do not be surprised if he goes all in to get Aaron Rodgers to Carolina.
So I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming no matter what Tepper does. If you're Aaron Rodgers, why would you come here?
Is he's never been given the opportunity to have input on how that team was put together. If David Tepper said, here,
he's not going to get with Matt Rhule.
We'll do whatever you want. We will revamp the offensive line and we'll figure out the money later.
No, but that's right for Tepper. Let me jump in on this real quick. I always look at things from a GM perspective, right? So if we were to bring him here, one, that means we would have to take on his contract. That means that we're going to have to give up picks to trade to get him. And the Carolina Panthers only have one pick in the top 100 in this next coming up draft anyway. Then we have all these other players that we're talking about wanting to pay that Panther fans. I mean, we have some fan favorites that we're talking about here, man. DJ Moore, Dante Jackson, Brian Burns might want to kick the can. Hassan Reddick has been playing pretty damn good. And, hey, if Stephon Gilmore plays well, we might want to keep him around too. So if you're not going to have the picks to upgrade the offensive line because you're going to have to trade them away, then you're going to have to use your free agency dollars to accommodate Aaron Rodgers' contract. Man, I think you're really – and by the way, this is true for Deshaun Watson too. Everything that I'm telling you about Rodgers also applies to whatever quarterback, Russell Wilson. It doesn't matter. Whoever you're trading for, this is the kind of scenario that we'd be putting ourselves into if we did trade.
Right.
So
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's part of the reason why I say the best course of action would be because I say this for Sam and it extends to Brady. The best course of action would be for us to address the O-line, something that we should have did last year with Teddy.
Yep.
I'm not a huge Teddy fan, but we should have kept Teddy and addressed the O-line. We're in a similar situation this year. If we move on from Sam, we're going to be started, regardless of who you bring in, still starting over because the guy is new. He's the leader of the offense, leader of the team, and you're bringing in a new cat. The best course of action would be to keep Sam. If Brady doesn't get a head coaching job, bring him back and see if they can improve from what they've done this year. And if being that Sam is on his 5th-year option next year, if Sam ain't cutting it, then we're in a position where we can draft a quarterback and develop him, or we can pay somebody in free agency, specifically if the O-line at that point is playing way better than what they're currently playing. So the best action would be to just stay the course. We're in a good position right now.
Hey, Brad, 1 second. I'll pass the mic right to you. Shout out to T-Baby. It says, for the $1.99, respect the fupa If Giants win, I shave my head. Shout out to you, T, baby. Go ahead, Brad.
Screw the
So we keep talking about improving the offensive line like we're going to get it fixed in one off season. I mean, we have we have the salary cap to do that, but the thing you have to remember too is most of the offensive linemen who are worth a damn, who you'd like to see the team pay, they're going to end up getting franchise tagged. They're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So the way that you improve the offensive line is you improve it through the draft, and we only have 4 picks next year, right, as it sits right now.
Right.
So how are you going to do that? You're going to move assets now. That's how you fix that. You either move them now or you move them before the beginning of free agency next year. So, I mean, I think that we kind of need to make peace with the fact that some of these players, like if we're smart, if Vitterer is as smart as he says he is, and he's not, or we think he is, and he's not going to pay Dante Jackson, they need to ship him now.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
And look, and I feel like whenever people say this, like, oh, we need to trade, insert player, Dante, DJ, whoever. It's not even that, like, we don't like those players. I mean, Brad, I think that you probably like Dante Jackson. Fine,
yeah, I'd love for them to pay him, but
I mean, he's playing great. But if the future is that you have to get draft picks or you have to get rid of players that you're not going to be able to pay, and that they're not going to be a part of your long-term game plan, then you want to be ahead on this. And if that's the case, if that's the scenario, then Dante, his name should be mentioned as a guy that could be traded.
So out of all the guys that we're going to lose next year, out of all the guys that are going to become free agents next year, who are guys that we can absolutely not get rid of? In my mind, it's Hassan Reddick and Frankie Louvu.
So Frankie Louvu is going to get the bag too. I mean, he's earning that way. I mean, look at his PFF scores for the past 5-6 weeks. He's been fantastic.
He's the only Panther player that's had over a 90 PFF grade. The only one.
So Frankie Louvu is going to cost you a bit, right? Hassan Reddick is also earning the bag. I mean, you're going to have to pay him quite a bit to get him to stay.
You'll pay him at least $25 million, at least.
Yeah, the other thing you have to remember too, and I think we're all, even myself, even though I frickin' hate Matt Rhule, right? He's not going anywhere for another year, but let's just say that the wheels really fall off the wagon here and we don't win any more games. And Tepper does decide to can him. Reddick's not staying. He wants to play. The only reason he even came here was to play for Matt Rhule. So
it's just fine with me if we're like 3 wins.
Yeah, because if you pay Reddick and you pay Louvu, and those are the only 2 you pay, then you're still going to be strapped the next year to even consider paying Burns, Chin when he becomes up contract, and more. You're not keeping everybody if you pay that much for there. I mean, you basically got to look at Burns and Riddick and say which one gets the money.
Well, we still have the 5th-year option on Moore, so I'm not necessarily worried about Moore just yet. But I mean, we're looking at Dante Jackson, we're looking at Hassan Reddick, we're looking at Frankie Louvu, and we're looking at Stephon Gilmore. Now, Stephon Gilmore, we haven't seen him play. Oh, and is AJ Bouye a free agent next year?
That's a 2-year deal.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. Now, there's a few others, but like Jermaine Carter Jr. and Marquise Haynes, if you want to consider them in the
I'd trade Marquise Haynes. I'd work on trading him right now.
Yeah.
So guys that are listed as free agents include Stephon Gilmore, Matt Paradis, Hassan Reddick, Daquan Jones,
I'm ready to
Justin Burris, Trenton Scott, Dante Jackson, Frankie Louvu. So I mean, some of the bigger guys, like, listen, if we could figure out some way to hold off on paying DJ Moore and Brian Burns, if we don't have to worry about that this year, great. But I don't think we're going to be able to do that with DJ, because if I'm DJ, after everything that I've done, especially if he has another 1,000-yard season this year, nah, bro, you got to pay me. Like, if I'm DJ, that's the mindset that I have after everything that I've done for this Carolina Panthers team, and with the quarterbacks that I've had throwing me the football, I'm getting paid. So then again, that means we would
McCaffrey early.
Yeah, that means we would have a bunch of money wrapped up into DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey. And again, so it's like, I think Dante Jackson too. Going back to him, the fact that we do have, we have J.C. Horn, we have C.J. Henderson, we have Stephon Gilmore now, although we don't know quite for how long. The fact that we do have them, it kind of inevitably makes him the odd man out in the scenario that the Panthers did start trading away people.
Yeah.
Trade away people? I don't think we will.
We should trade if we get something out of Daquan Jones. I remember I live in Bristol, Tennessee. I live in Tennessee. I talk to Titan fans on a daily basis. Daquan Jones was let go by the Titans because he gave up a massive amount of runs. He was pretty much non-existent. He was literally a fat man on the defensive line that multiple people could push out of the way. That being said, he was decent in the passing game, but he was pathetic in the running game. He couldn't stop anybody. So a lot of folks in the chat are kind of hyped up on a little bit on Derek Brown. They need to rethink this. What again? It goes back to starting a rookie. What this team needs to do is play less of Daquan Jones and play more of
Davion
Nixon. Exactly. That's what they need to play more of him.
Yeah. And it also, the Panthers don't have a ton of picks, and we still need linebacker depth. We still need safety. We still need another free safety that we haven't had in years. People are wanting to put Dante back there, which if he's willing to do it, I mean, I would love it if Dante was more willing to play some other positions to see if he could do them well. Because, man, if he could play that ball-hawking free safety position, I know a lot of fans are against it, too, because it's not his primary position. I mean, again, every player is a different scenario. You can't judge one against every other one. But if Dante was able to play some nickel or able to play some free safety, I would have no problem signing Dante to even more money, especially if he has, if he's going to fill a role on our football team. Whether or not that'll happen is just, I don't know. Hey, real quick, before we go any farther forward, 94 people watching, 44 thumbs up. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell to go notified every single time we want to go live. If you want to join the show with me and the guys here, the link is in the description for you to join the Streamyard. So you can do that if you'd like to. And once again, man, I appreciate everybody for hanging out on the Friday free-for-all. I wanted to take a minute to kind of talk about Graham Gano a little bit, which I know that might seem weird, but this is a story that surfaced, and I felt like it was at least worth sharing and getting people's comments and opinions on. Graham Gano went on to detail for a New York publication basically that Carolina had misdiagnosed him when he was here, and he didn't find out about it until he went to New York and got that same injury re-diagnosed. He said, I was told initially it was tendonitis and a bone bruise, and it was actually a lot more than that, which we knew for a while. I was treating it, and I came back and had the same injury, actually worse than before. It was a mess. It was frustrating, but at the same time, I try to look at things positively. If that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here. Gano said he fractured his femur just above his knee in his non-kicking leg. It might be more important than the kicking leg. We've had a lot of bad weather in Charlotte, so my plant foot was sinking into the ground, and over time, I developed the injury. Gano said he kicked in one game with the broken leg in 2018 before getting placed on IR for the final 4 games of the season. Geaux went through the ensuing offseason under the impression that he only had tendinitis. I went into training camp the next year. They were telling me it was fine, Geaux said. I re-injured it. They were telling me it was fine. Obviously, it was not, so I had the surgery. And it went from them telling me there was nothing wrong with my leg to I needed a major surgery. So, dude, if that doesn't tell you what kind of medical staff the Carolina Panthers have had on this team for the past 5 years, man, it's so eye-opening to the way that the Panthers have just absolutely mismanaged the injuries of so many players, man. Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, and now, even though it's not Vermillion anymore, it looks like McCaffrey is kind of a part of that as well, man. What do you all make of the Carolina Panthers essentially almost ruining a player's career?
It could be worse. It could be like Tyrod Taylor and what happened when he broke his ribs? San Diego.
Oh, when they punked with a needle.
But I mean, honestly, Cody, looking at all that, I'm starting to wonder, did they misdiagnose Cam's injuries to the point that it really started him on a downward spiral?
Well, you know, if you're
misdiagnosed is the key word there, right? Were they more concerned with actually getting him proper medical care, or were they more concerned with trying to get him out there to win as much as humanly possible? Because,
good point.
I mean, the reality of the matter is, we talk about the offensive line and the problems with this team for the past few years. The problems are the same problems we've had for years. They're not going anywhere. We just had a superstar quarterback who could mask them.
Yeah.
And it begs the question of were they trying to rush him back or get him out there as soon as humanly possible, even though they knew he was injured? Did they misdiagnose him, trying to make sure that they could cover their own asses? I mean,
I think so, man. And I think Ron Rivera has to take his fair share of blame in this too. I think Rivera felt like, especially with the brand new owner, his ass was on the hot seat. And I think that they entirely mismanaged Cam Newton and Greg Olsen to that extent too, man. He kept on re-injuring his foot. Yeah, it was the same bone in his – dude, I really don't know, man. But again, dude, like, what is this?
We saw how hurt those guys were, and we were sitting there like, why is he even out there on the field? You can tell they were hurt. So if we're seeing it, watching it on TV, how can they not see it in the training room, at practice, in the locker rooms, around the facility on a daily basis? It makes you start to wonder.
Let me ask, who has more power, the head coach or the trainer? The head trainer. Because I asked that question because a lot of your head coaches across the league aren't doctors. And if a trainer says they're good, a lot of the head coach is going to say, okay, they'll look at the player and say, can you go? He said, yeah, I can go, coach. All right, then. That's what I mean. That's what happens. And I would do that, but I've never been a head coach in the NFL. So
and this just kind of adds to the crap that's going on with Ryan Vermillion right now, right? Like, I mean, the fact that he had the FBI storm the Washington football team's facilities, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? I mean, and people are liking him to Pablo Escobar. I mean,
let me give you some dope. You feel better. Leg might be broken. I'll give you some dope. You feel better.
Tommy Doc Martin said, "Looks like Ryan Vermillion was Dr. Feelgood."
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've got some family members who would like to see Ryan Vermillion.
Oh, I'm sure, man. Hey, we probably all know someone who wishes they had a Dr. Vermillion in their life, man. But dude, and by the way, like that's what got Gruden. But I think I have this correct. If I don't, I apologize. But when the FBI raided Vermillion, it was a part of that, which is how they got the emails with John Gruden saying all the crazy shit. At least that's what
that was the investigation of the cheerleaders.
Yeah, it was the Washington investigating their sexual issues before Ron got there.
Yeah,
it's all.
But wasn't that a part of it? I wanted to say that, like, I know there was an investigation into Allen and the Washington football team, but I want to say I read something that the Vermillion thing also played a part in it somehow. Again, I could be wrong about this whole thing, but I don't know, man. It just doesn't. And then the fact that Ron Rivera's over there, like, dealing with the same thing. And by the way, now you're hearing that Curtis Samuel is also injured again, dealing with a bunch of different injured all year, ain't he? Yeah, he's been injured all year.
Yeah,
you know, if you're Curtis Samuel, you have to ask yourself, because when he was in Carolina, he stayed pretty much hurt all the time, except for the 1 year Ryan Vermeil followed Ron to Washington, and then he was here. He was here Rhule's first year without Ron Vermillion, and he played out real good. He really played good. Yet then he turns around and goes to Washington with Ryan Vermillion, and all of a sudden now he's back hurt all the time. If I'm Curtis Samuel, I have to ask this question.
Yeah, like,
I mean, I'm like, dude,
do yourself a favor. That's why whenever people were saying, like, Cam Newton should go to the Washington football team.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, if you're Cam Newton, like, no, I'm good.
Dude, I'm running to any football team beside the Washington football team. If I'm Cam Newton, man.
Well, and they're talking about, apparently, too, like, with all the Deshaun Watson rumors circulating, that there's going to be a 3-way trade that sends Tua to Washington. That's the last place if I'm a quarterback I would ever want to go. Period. Especially one that's already kind of injury prone, right? Like,
so look, we might as well do it. It already came up. This is the story that will not go away, and it's not gonna go away no matter what your opinions and feelings on the matter are.
Not until he gets traded.
Yeah, yet again, there is still reports and rumors going around the internet. The people at Pro Football Network maintain that the Carolina Panthers are a dark horse to trade for Deshaun Watson. And then what you were saying, that there might be a 3-team trade, which, by the way, would be unprecedented. That's actually never happened in the NFL before. You think that it might have happened, but no, that's it's never happened before. But apparently, they were going to send. They were going to send Tua to the Washington football team, but damn, now he's injury prone, and you're going to stick him with Rivera and Vermillion, dude.
We just have to get past the trading deadline, and then that'll at least die down into the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's kind of crazy that they're still talking about Deshaun Watson coming to Carolina. And I as a fan, like, I don't want him here. I mean, as much as I don't get me wrong, like, I would love somebody who can play football, especially the quarterback position, as well as he does on our team. Sure. But at the same time, he's got allegations with 22 women. I mean, and he's openly admitted that I'm sorry, but if you're a professional athlete, you mean to tell me that you need to crawl up into somebody's IG, direct messages, and petition women to come give you massages? I mean, you've got team facilities for that. You've got team staff for that. You're not doing that for any reason other than to, get there. So
is there any? That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever asked that on the show before. Is there anyone in the show and in the chat room that, if we traded for Deshaun, is that a bridge too far? I mean, because inevitably this is what the conversation is. Every fan base is going to have to, their fans are going to have to ask themselves that same question. If you believe that there's no way that Deshaun could have any innocence in this, which I understand that mindset. These allegations are very, very damning, and no one's saying that they're not. And especially if you're a woman who feels that way, you have every right to feel that kind of way about this. But is there anyone, in here or in the chat room who feels like, dude, if we traded for Deshaun, yeah, I might just not follow the Panthers for a couple seasons, or
No.
I'm out on it. Like, how are we feeling about this?
No.
It really depends on what we would give up for him and how everything would play out with Deshaun. If he's going to be put on the exempt list right after he gets traded, then yeah, I think that would be a step too far. And I mean, we should honestly expect that.
Yeah.
But it's really going to depend.
And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm all for the notion that you're innocent until proven guilty.
True.
But I mean, he's come out and openly admitted that he had intercourse with women who were giving him massages, like with at least a few of these women. Like, he's admitted it. Mm-hmm. So for me, I mean, I probably wouldn't follow the team for a couple of years because that's just a bit much. I mean,
yeah. And by the way,
but if it's consensual.
Well, my thing is this. So there's no wrong answer to this. If you feel like, nah, that's a bridge too far, I don't want to support someone like that who does that kind of shit. I agree, man. That's a low down dirt bag kind of stuff that you did if you did do those things. My thing is I want to hear Deshaun's side. One of the things that I do know is that he has refused to sign an NDA, meaning that he wants to tell his side of the story. He doesn't want to pay these women to go away and make this a problem for another day. He wants to tell his side of the story. Now, we might hear that side of the story and say, Deshaun, bro, that's kind of some bullshit, huh? Even still, it might not be a good answer. But I still want to hear how he would defend his own self, and especially if this ends up going to court, I think the precedent has been set, man. If you look at guys like Big Ben or whatever that have had these allegations happen to them before, I mean, real sexual assault allegations happen to them, and Big Ben's still playing football, probably overstayed his welcome. So, both of those things are true. I think it's true. And then I'll pass the mic on this. I think it's possible that we never see Deshaun Watson again. Or I think it's possible that he has a long-ass career and still plays football after all this is washed over. Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, of course, we need to take these allegations seriously and everything. But I just still find it interesting that none of these allegations came out until he told the Texans, I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah.
All these years, because from what these women are saying, this has been going on for quite a long time. And you never heard a word about it. But as soon as he said, Houston, I'm not playing for you anymore. I'm out of here. I will sit out. I want to be traded. All of a sudden, one after another, you hear an allegation about from this lady and from that lady, and now it's 22 women. It's like, so what? Were the Texans paying people to keep quiet all this time? And all of a sudden they said, okay, we're not paying you anymore. You can do what you want. And now they're coming out of it. It's just very interesting all of a sudden that this happened.
And then if that ends up being true, like a scenario like what you just laid out, Drew, you would have to imagine that if Deshaun could prove that in some kind of way, that this would end up being one of the biggest legal sports cases of all time. I mean, that's like, I mean, this is even bigger than that. Yeah, I'm saying if that indeed is true, that it is a conspiracy on that level. And by the way, the word conspiracy, like, kind of in today's zeitgeist indicates lunacy and shit. I'm not even saying like that, but I'm saying all these behind the scenes scenarios would have to play out in order for that to happen. Dude, that'll be one of the biggest sports stories in history, man, if that ends up being true. And I'm not saying that it's too fantastical to be true. I mean, crazy shit has happened in this world, but man, dude, that would be one hell of a thing to go that far out of your way just to ruin a quarterback that wants traded, man. One of the things I'll say on this, I believe the Dolphins are lying about this. I don't believe that conversations have gone anywhere. I think they're trying to inflate the value of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, the Texans, yeah.
The Texans are the ones leaking this information. It's not the Dolphins.
Yeah,
it's the Texans that are reporting this, and they are.
The Texans are doing it.
Right. I meant to say Houston. My bad. I meant to say Houston. The guy John McClain, he works for the Houston Chronicle. He's been the one like putting all this stuff out, and yeah, that's a Houston publication. So of course Houston would put that out there. Yeah. Do y'all think this is true? Because again, Pro Football Network maintains the Panthers are a dark horse, but then meanwhile, Joe Person comes out and says, "No, we haven't even contacted the Texans."
I like the on-field talent. I think that's unquestionable, but I question the insanity if you do this. Imagine what you give up. You're giving up basically the boat.
Yep.
For the next couple years, probably.
Yep.
And for a quarterback that as soon as he gets traded, as soon as it's official, the NFL is going to say, all right, you're on the commissioner exempt fix, because it will happen. Right now, they're not doing it. They haven't done it because the Texans are refusing to play him. He's not even training with the rest of the team. He's off on an individual trainer by himself when he comes in. So there's a point when they don't and then if the litigation goes into the federal means, because the FBI is still investigating it. If it goes into federal means, Watson will be charged with several legal cases. The word's not coming to my mind right now, but then he could get jail time for this. Possibly.
Yeah.
And you're going to be out all them picks. You're going to be out any players that you traded. And this could go on 2 or 3 years. If we trade for Deshaun Watson without the legal stuff being wrapped up, you could set this team back at least 5-10 years.
And then I heard an interview with Peter King, and he said that this might not be solved until the end of 2022.
I believe it.
From a legal perspective. So you'd be trading for a player that you might not be able to put on the field until 2023.
I said he probably won't play in 2 years.
That would be. I mean, that would be a minimum.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we're still back to the human side of it and not the football side of it. I know the timing sounds suspicious and everything, and I get that. I'll wholly buy into that. It looks sketchy as hell, but the reality of the matter is it takes years for some sexual assault victims that come forward. I mean, that's just the reality.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact of the matter is, if it was 1 or 2 women, I could say, okay, yes, this is a conspiracy. It's 22 freaking women. That's insane. Yeah, that's bananas. That's that where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, and unfortunately, I think that's kind of the reality of where we need to, how we need to look at this situation.
And then to the point that you made earlier too, if we already know that if we have leaked information that he did have relationships with a few of the massage artists, even though those were consensual, it would lead you to believe, oh yeah, if he felt vindicated, trying to holler at one massage therapist, yeah, of course he probably shot and failed with a bunch of other different ones as well, and he ended up looking like a dummy because of it. So, and again, man, like, I'm a Clemson fan, dude. My most favorite times as a Clemson fan was in 2015 and 2016, watching Deshaun just go crazy with my Tigers, man. Winning that championship, like, as a player, the man is incredible. But even I have to put that aside if this is the kind of guy that he is, man. Like, my head would love it because it would be like, oh yeah, that's Deshaun Watson. He's an incredible player. But I mean, dude, it doesn't matter what your head wants. It's if he really has these things that are outstanding with him, then yeah, it is what it is, man. And I personally don't see Federer or anyone in this organization willing to give up that amount for a player that we don't know when he's going to play. And once again, the Panthers don't have a lot of draft capital to be able to go and get him anyway and be able to field the football team around him. Like, you're still going to be forcing him to throw behind one of the worst offensive lines in football. So I don't know, man. Every time I hear it.
I mean, anybody that trades for Deshaun Watson, I'm sure they would be in contact with the league office beforehand.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, if we're trading for this guy, are you going to put him on the exempt list as soon as we trade for him? And they're going to want concessions from Houston. You're like, okay, if we're trading for this guy and he hasn't gotten his legal issues taken care of, we want considerations for these draft picks and things that we're giving up. If he goes to play for us, these picks are reverted back to us, or the first round picks go to fourth round picks, or they're gonna want concessions. So I mean, if we see a trade of Deshaun Watson, it's just not gonna be, they got the 3 first round picks and a couple of players and that's it. It's gonna be a lot more to it than that.
I said it earlier. The best course of action for our team, would be to build up every other position, give Sam a fair evaluation, like excluding the off-field issues that Deshaun has. Everybody is unanimous. Everybody agrees that the dude is an extremely talented QB. But like if you were able to take away, like in a world in which he doesn't have all of these issues going on off the field, I still wouldn't be willing to trade that much capital to bring him in. Because like I said, you'd just be setting the team like, you'd have a talented QB, but who would be protecting him? Who would he be throwing to? Would the defense be any good?
Well, and that kind of goes back to the general sentiment of how you do team building, right? If you're gonna spend a lot of free agent money, you're gonna bring in a lot of free agents, then you have to have a quarterback on a rookie deal. That's the other issue. And if you're going to bring in a quarterback who's going to get paid, because Deshaun Watson, I mean, I think it's after next year he goes up to making damn near $40 million a year. Exactly. Then you need a ton of draft picks. I mean,
you canceled out everybody we discussed earlier. You canceled out Riddick. You canceled out Burns. You can't give defense. You can't give $50 million on the defense and $40 million on offense. That ain't even count Christian McCaffrey's contract.
Right.
Yeah, man.
That's the kind of move you can make. Like I said, like if we get we draft and we bring in free agents and we have for the foreseeable future, we have a top 10 offensive line with top 10 weapons at the skill position players, and then we have a top 10 defense. At that moment, if our quarterback ain't cutting it, that's when you can go ahead and be like, hey, essentially what the Rams did. Hey, we'll give you 3 first rounds to get this guy because he'll help put us over the hump. So like,
right. We are, and the reality of the matter is, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We're not one quarterback away. We're just not.
No, we're not. No. One quarterback won't really honestly mean a lot of difference.
I will say this though, because the Cam Newton fan that I am, the dominoes started to fall in this direction when they decided to walk away from Cam.
Yeah.
Because we could have very easily just let Cam play out his last year. Regardless, I for one believe that the record we had Cam been the starter would have been 8-8 or better. So we wouldn't have been drafting that high, but then they could have gotten a quarterback, or like I said, they could have essentially just built the team up. They could have extended Cam for another 2-3 years, built the team up, then been in a position to draft a Josh Allen or a Justin Herbert type QB. But they played themselves by cutting Cam, bringing in Teddy, cutting Teddy, bringing in Sam, and he played well for the first 3 games, but he's been struggling the last 3. So the jury's still out on him. And if you bring in a rookie QB, you're essentially starting over again. You bring in a veteran QB, you're starting over again. The best course of action is to build the rest of the team up with the QB they have.
So a lot of your veteran quarterbacks ain't going to come here with the offensive line like it is. They're just
man.
I mean,
like at least Tampa Bay had a decent line to begin with, and they were able to add to it by drafting Tristan Wirfs.
Right.
The reality of the matter is, if you look at every quarterback nowadays has a no trade clause, right? So they don't. It's not a matter of a team. You can just make the offer and the team will send them to wherever they don't want to go. They have to want to come to your team. And Aaron Rodgers isn't coming here. Russell Wilson last year. I mean, Russell Wilson. This might be his last year in Seattle as well, right? He already said these are the list of teams that I want to play for, and Carolina was not one of them.
No. No.
So we're not going to get a free agent quarterback. The best course of action for us is to build the offensive line, draft a quarterback, and pray to God we hit pay dirt. I mean, that's just the reality.
Did we really make a mistake this year and last year not doing everything in our power to draft a quarterback?
Yes. I mean, there's a reality. If we would have played last season, you can build your roster in such a way that you can organically tank without necessarily setting yourself up for failure. The Dolphins almost did it, right? They were just well coached back in 2019 was the season that they traded off all their assets. I mean, they were specifically tanking for Tua. It just sucks that they got the wrong guy, right? But you can
they tanked for him, and they didn't get the first pick, and they still got him.
Yep. So I mean, it's hard to lose in the NFL. It's hard to lose in the NFL if you get the coaching right. I mean, that's just the reality. People. I mean, I think our biggest mistake, honestly, was hiring Matt Rhule.
I'm not going to argue. I think if you go back to the last year's draft, Cody, you know how much Marty Herney was in love with Herbert.
Herb.
Yeah. Now, contrary to Jeff, we didn't pass on him. He took him before us. But I believe that they didn't really think the Chargers were going to take him, and they were banking on that. And when the Chargers took him, Marty Herney didn't know who else to take, so he took the guy that he likes. So other than that was Derek Brown. I don't believe Derek Brown was a Matt Rhule pick, but
right.
I don't. But I believe it would have been the linebacker for the Cardinals.
Isaiah Simmons.
I was pissed when they passed on Simmons. I was
by the
so
way,
mad.
And people wanted to call me just a Clemson fan. That's why I was mad. And then people were like, "Oh, he didn't have a good rookie season." Yeah, look at what that guy's doing now. They're lining him up all over the football field. He's flying around the field, making plays.
And they had him in the wrong spot last year.
I'll also be fair. The Cardinals are a better football team. I mean, they have a lot of really good football players.
You know,
go ahead.
The thing that's exhausting about that is, like, you know, everybody's looking at the Cardinals as a blueprint of this is why you give Rhule a third year, right? Because the Cardinals, this is their third year under Cliff Kingsbury, and they're amazing, right? But he also had the GM was there long before Cliff Kingsbury came in. He's not making all the decisions quite like Rhule is. He's also a quote unquote offensive brainchild. You know what I mean? He's not a CEO like Rhule is, who has to delegate all of his power away or the play calling away.
Right.
So I mean, he walked into a team with the number 1 overall pick and they hit pay dirt. I mean, we are comparing this team to the Cardinals is not, or we're saying that we're 1 year away and we should give Rhule a third year is preposterous to me. I mean, now, if anything, I think we're closer to the 2015 Eagles the last year that Chip Kelly was there. You had a roster with some talent on it. You didn't have the quarterback situation figured out. And the only thing that was really standing in your way was the bozo of a head coach. I mean. Yeah,
man. And then a lot of people are down on the quarterback class this year. Guys like Malik Willis. Then there's Matt Corral from Ole Miss. And both of those guys have cannons for arms, but dude, it goes back to that. How do you build a football team? And one of the most important things that you can have when you're rebuilding, trying to acquire talent, and Brad said this earlier, it's having a quarterback on a rookie contract that you don't have to worry about paying $40+ million a year. It gives you all the money that you need to build the football team around them before you have to worry about paying them, man.
Or the quarterback's married to a supermodel.
Right, yeah, or that, or the greatest of all time, and you trade for Tom Brady. Dude, how lucky are the Bucs? Like for the past more than a decade, they've been a dumpster fire team, and then over the course of one season, now they're the fucking.
They had a complete team and got the real quarterback.
Right. That was the big thing. They had Jameis under center. They were literally a quarterback away. They were the definition of that statement. And then they went out and got the greatest.
That fits the Tampa Bay's head coach motto, though. He was in Arizona and he couldn't deal with rookie quarterbacks. He really sucked as a head coach till he got Kurt Warner. Once he gets that older quarterback, then he can build offense around that older quarterback.
Before Tom Brady went to Tampa, weren't they like 9-7?
They were 7-9, I think.
7, yeah. So all Tom Brady had to do was throw like 20 less interceptions.
So
Brady didn't ask for $40 million either.
Yeah.
Two things I wanted to mention. People in the chat room keep comparing Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Simmons, saying that they're basically the same player. Well, we could have had both of them.
Yes.
We literally could have had both of them. Like we literally could have.
They relatively are,
Isaiah Simmons and we could have taken Jeremy Chin later.
Yeah, I mean, imagine.
Well,
our run defense would probably suck though.
No, imagine. Imagine Chin as your safety in the back. All right, no, put him at linebacker, and then put Isaiah Simmons at linebacker.
The same thing holds true for the offense. How a great offensive line, a great offensive line makes the guys behind them better. A great defensive line makes the guys behind them better. So if we had taken Isaiah, like a lot of what Brown is doing in the middle doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but go back and look at highlights, film, and all of that jazz. Brown's eating double teams and not budging. He's allowing guys to just linebackers are able to find the running back and get there.
Brown is very disruptive. And by the way, I want to remain consistent with my critiques, right? For that reason alone, that's why I didn't want to draft Derek Brown in the top 10. Obviously, we're better for him. I'm happy that he's on our team now.
Yeah.
But my thing was, if I'm going to draft a defensive tackle in the top 10 of the draft, I want some pass rush too. Like I'm not going to draft.
You want Aaron Donald?
I'm not going to draft a 1 tech or a 0 tech space eater. And with the top 10 picks, like I want you to add more value as a pass rusher and a run stuffer.
But remember how bad our run defense was?
I know, but I'm just saying that I never saw that with Brown. And by the way, I don't think Brown is ever going to be a big pass rushing threat. I think Derek Brown is going to be what he is for us now. He's going to be a big time space eater in the middle. He's going to require double teams. And he's going to allow the other guys to have one-on-one matchups. And I think that's why he is a very important piece in our defense.
To be fair, Aaron Donald, I don't know how many people in the chat or how many of you guys actually like just looking at the man's highlights alone. Aaron Donald is a generational type.
Yeah, Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah. They don't come around often.
Kind of like Christian McCaffrey.
Like the things that he does is just, and he plays with an edge to him, like a nastiness on him.
Yeah, he plays angry.
And I think he got drafted into he was number 13 or 14 in his draft class.
Yeah, so dude, he was in the same draft as Khalil Mack. Him and Khalil Mack were in the same draft. Yeah, dude, Aaron Donald's one of the best, man. And he played at Pitt too.
If you could get one of the two, Khalil Mack or Aaron Donald, who would you take?
Aaron Donald every time. It's not even a debate.
Aaron Donald, but I will say I've got love for Khalil because me and him share the same birthday.
I think Burns could be a Khalil Mack type if he played linebacker, and you developed him. You actually had people who knew how to develop that type of player. I don't no disrespect to Snow, and maybe he does, but right now, if you put Burns in Khalil Mack right now and swap the two players out, Burns going to be that in a couple years.
The way Burns is going, Burns has been a big disappointment this year so far.
Well, yeah,
but that's how they're using him. I mean, He's getting chipped a lot. I mean,
and also, I think it's a reasonable criticism to make of Burns at this point that his speed to power is, I think, still a little bit lacking. Like, if you're going to be a complete pass rusher, you need more than just a speed rush. And he is more than that. He has one of the nastiest inside spin maneuvers that you'll ever see. But when you have a left tackle that knows that you're going to beat them outside, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that they get to that back foot quick, and their hands are going to be low. That means their chest is going to be exposed. The best pass rushers take those moments when you think they're going around the edge, then they go right through your chest, hands in your chest, and just bulldoze you back into the quarterback. I think Khalil Mack is much better than Brian Burns at doing that, especially at this point in time. Khalil Mack is a freak of nature. I want to stay on Brian Burns. This is a discussion that me and Tony have been having on our Tuesday show and on the C3 debate might take. What do we think about Brian Burns having all these near misses, man? It seems like every single week, Brian Burns, there's always a sack to be had that he just narrowly misses on. Like,
that's coaching.
What is it? Is it
I
coaching?
believe it's coaching.
I'm on that. So I'll tell you what
I would say bad luck.
I'll pass it to y'all, and then I'll tell y'all. Then tell me what you feel. I feel a lot of it is on Brian Burns being too fancy. I think they're just trying to knock the football out. He's trying to go for the football, create strip sacks and fumbles. And yeah, I understand that. But man, you really just need to wrap up. Your arms are too long. Your wingspan is too wide. Quit doing too much and go for the sack. And Brian Burns even admitted that that's something that happened to him on that play where Kirk Cousins rolled out and ran for the first down. I mean, when you have Kirk Cousins, of all people, running for first downs, dude, you're making us look bad, bro. So is this on Brian? Is this on coaching? And if so, why?
No, it's on Brian Burns. He's trying to be too cute. Instead of being fundamentally sound and wrapping the quarterback up and taking him down, he's trying to make the highlight play.
So doesn't that also reflect a little bit on the coaching?
Yeah, it definitely. Why would they not be telling him that? Yeah, go ahead.
I put the Lions share of the blame on him because as a professional athlete, the fundamentals should be something that you shouldn't need a coach to tell you or remind you. Fundamentals. He's getting there, but a lot of Burns near misses and shit is him trying to strip it. Like you said, man, you watch the game and you can see how long his damn arms are. If he just goes for the wrap up, maybe you don't get the strip. Maybe the quarterback throws the ball away. Maybe he throws it away and it gets picked. But just wrap up. I would like to see him do more of that moving forward. And so I'm putting the Lions share of the blame on him.
Yeah, and then even if they threw the ball away, it still means that he had a negative effect on their offense. Like he made a play, he did something that that was ultimately the Panthers' defense is better because of. Brad, you said coaching. Why do you think coaching?
Because, I mean, those are the kinds of things when you rewatch film on Monday morning that you should be going over with your player. Those are the things you should be addressing in practice. Those are the things you should be fundamentally working on with your developmental players, regardless of whether or not he's a first rounder or he's the best player on the defense. You should take those opportunities to coach you. To coach that player and make them better and make sure that they understand the impact that they're having on the game. And if that's not getting done, if you're not if we're sitting here saying, well, he's being too cute, well, who's telling him to do that kind of thing? Who's not working with him to get that coached out of him?
Okay.
I mean,
no, that's a fantastic point, man. If they feel like he has a bunch of near misses, they need to be coaching him up and telling him the proper technique to fix this. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that sentiment too. That's why I think there is enough blame to go around. I think first and foremost, it's still with Brian, because I think a lot of it is just on him. But yeah, our coaches are they're culpable in this too, because they're not teaching him the proper technique and writing him and telling him to get the sack, man. I mean, sacks are still hard to come by, and you're still proving yourself to be one of the better sack getters in the NFL. So,
but if you're Brian Burns and you think you have a shot at causing a fumble, you're most likely just going to go for the fumble every time. I mean, I would. If I actually think I have a shot at causing a fumble,
fumbles will come.
I mean, yeah, but
I agree.
If you're wrapping that quarterback up, you're wrapping him up. His hands are dropping down with a force. The fumbles will come. You just need to wrap up and quit trying to swipe at the ball.
He's also had bad luck with that, with that Dak sack that he just kind of fished out to Zeke.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been so many of those, man. Like, how many times is it bad luck? It happened with Dak. It happened with Kirk Cousins. It's happened a bunch of different times, man. It happened with Zach Wilson. He left some sacks on the field when we played the Jets.
The thing is, if you watch when Reddick when Reddick gets a sack, Reddick's wrapping up. Like Reddick's had a few where I think like Jameis Winston was able to spin with him, so it kind of threw Reddick off of him. But for the most part, when Reddick goes to get a sack, he's wrapping both arms on the QB. So that's like I said, lion's share for me goes to Burns. But if he can be coached, like I have confidence that Snow will help him develop into the type of pass rusher we expect him to be.
Yeah.
So
we'll go Nick.
Most of Brian Burns sacks for the season, and most of them are him coming unblocked.
Unblocked. Yep. Greg said that on the Tuesday night show too. One of these weeks. I remember that, and that is true, man. A lot of them have been unblocked. We'll go to Nick, and then we'll go to Kenneth. I heard you guys about to say something.
So first off, before I even give my answer as far as whether or not I put it on Brian Burns or the coaching, I'm actually watching the Vikings game right now. And as we're talking about every single player, they're all just having some sort of impact play right in front of me. It's like right now we're talking about Brian Burns, and it's right before the end of the second quarter, and he almost sacks Kirk Cousins, but Cousins gets it off real quick. But
yeah, man.
No, I mean,
look how close he was too. Did you see how close he was? And that was all on him.
Yeah, and you know what? The only reason why he didn't get it was because Cousins saw him coming and he just knew to get rid of the ball. It's just one of those veteran instincts that he had. But man, if you go back to Brian Burns' first season, even though he was injured, he played with that club on his hand. Okay, he still got, it was like 6 or 7 sacks. Okay, and he was in every game, and he's been in every game ever since he came into the league. But if you look at his stats for last season and this season, he just hasn't lived up to that first season. And the only thing that's different between that first season and this season is Phil Snow. So I gotta say, he could have some sort of impact on how Brian Burns plays.
He had 7.5 sacks his rookie year. 9 each year.
So he said 9 each year and 7 his first year?
His first year he had 7.5, and his second year he had 9.
I thought he had less than the second year. I could be wrong, but I thought he had less.
Well, I mean, no, listen, Brian Burns is another one of these players that I think we really wanted to see have a big time year this year and prove that he's that pass rusher that we all want him to be, man. We all want our very own Von Miller, our very own Khalil Mack, our very own Aaron Donald. And we've been holding out that Brian Burns is that kind of person. Well, if he is that kind of person, man, these near misses can't be misses anymore. Like they've got to, it's got to start to make these, man. Kenneth, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I believe, if you go back and watch last year's tape, a lot of the plays that Riddick is doing where he comes unblocked, Burns was in. And majority of the time, Brian has to face the tight end when he's coming off the line and the tackle. And that goes back to the lack of interior pressure. When you got Daquan Jones, who's a big guy and a big run stopper, and you got another big run stopper right beside him, and yeah, granted, you're not going to get much pressure. And then when you go into passing downs, when they pull one of them out and put Fox or Gross Matos in, they're both about 260. I mean, they're not. It looks good put them on the inside because they're fast, but if that guard gets a hand on them, they're not going anywhere.
He's had 5 quarterback hits, it says, this year.
5. How many sacks is he at this year?
3.
So if and Burns brought that up. Burns said that it's with the lack of interior pressure, makes up is causing the chips to happen. But then Brian Burns turned around and said, but the chips will go away. And I don't see why he thinks the chips will go away.
The chips are going to go away because they're going to start trying to stop Reddick. It's legitimately a pick your poison type of defensive line. I honestly believe this Giants game is going to be a get right game for the D line.
Well, as bad as the Giants are, I don't see how they can't. It's like the Falcons. When the Falcons are, how can you not play better? But is it going to be long term better?
Last year he had 8 tackles for losses. This year he has 5.
How many strip sacks did he have last year?
He said it just says forced fumbles. He had 3.
So
okay. I still think
I think
Brian Burns' number this year will be better than what they were last year. But man, this especially Andrew Thomas, he's been their best offensive lineman, and he's hurt. He's not playing, man. So the Panthers have no reason to not feast against the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Brad's about to get out of here. Brad, I want to thank you for joining us today, man. Before you leave, I want you to give me a prediction. How do you think this Panthers-Giants game is going to go down?
I think Panthers are going to win it 22-16. I just feel like it's going to be a weird game where you're going to have 6s and 2s. Extra points will be missed. We might have a safety. Okay. I mean, I just feel like it's going to be a comedy errors, to be honest. But yeah, I think we will get right. I think we will see Brian Burns get at least 1 or 2 sacks this weekend. I don't think it'll be too cute, but like I said, I think this is 2 bad teams going up against one another, but we are the better of the bad teams.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I definitely appreciate you being with us today, man. Why don't you let these people know where they can follow you and how they can find you?
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Bale if you look at my the name tag below. That's about all. I play Destiny on Twitch every once in a while, but that's about it. So
cool, man. Well, Brad, I appreciate you joining us, man. Hopefully we'll see you again next Friday, dude.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Peace
man.
out. Keep pounding.
Yeah, man. So going forward, I guess we'll do that, man. Let me get some predictions. And really, you can give me whatever you think about this Giants game. Are there some key matchups that you're looking at? What are you expecting to see from this Panthers offense and defense? And what do you think the final score is going to be? Let me switch it up. Kevin Boshoven.
Yeah.
He's a fan of an inferior college football team, so I guess I'll let him.
What's Clemson's record and South Carolina's record?
Hey, we don't need to talk about it, bro. So anyway, go ahead. Why don't you tell me what your prediction for this Panthers Giants?
I think Carolina's going to feast that defense. I think they're going to have multiple turnovers. I think they're going to put you shutout 28-0.
Woo! 28-0. So you have the Panthers really having a get right.
Get right. This is a get right game written all over it.
All right, you heard it here, man. Kevin's calling the get right game, man.
Robbie Anderson's already calling himself out. I mean,
yeah. All right, Justin, man, what are you thinking about this matchup, dude? Do you agree with your South Carolina brethren, or are the Panthers? Is this a closer game than we're expecting?
Yeah, I'm seeing this as a get right game for the entire team. I want to see. I know say predictions, but I'm hoping Brady shows that he's able to actually adjust and call an offensive game plan to better suit Darnold. But yeah, defensively, I don't see the Giants be. The only thing that worries me is Jones' ability to run. Beyond that, I could definitely see it being a 21-28, 21-28 shutout type performance.
All right, 21-28, man. That's that's a touchdown, like that could be within the realm of possibility, man. I'm hoping that it's more than that. Anyway, I'll save mine. Let's go, Kenneth, Panther Rhule. What are you thinking about this game, man?
Y'all ain't gonna like this. I'm just gonna tell you.
Hey, tell it, man. Tell it. I was the only one last week that picked Minnesota.
I told you I should have picked Minnesota. It was in my gut to pick it, but I didn't listen to I got to listen to my heart.
All right, so talk to us. What's the heart
I still
telling you?
think the Panthers are going to win, but it ain't never going to be. I'm going to say 14-10. I really am. I want to believe that this offense can turn around, but till I see it, I'm not going to believe it any longer. I want to see it. I'm tired of lip service. Then that's the point. I'm tired of Matt Rhule's lip service. I'm tired of Joe Brady. I'm tired of the players telling me the same damn thing every week and still not going out there doing it.
Yeah.
Just put up or shut up time, boys. You wanted you waited your whole life to be that NFL player. You're there. Do it.
I mean, dude, everybody has something to prove, man. I've been saying that before the season. It's still true now, man. Everyone has a ton to prove, and especially playing a team where their entire team is in the emergency room. Like, come on, man. We got to have this. Yep. Drew, how are you feeling, man? What are the Panthers going to do here, bro?
I think it's a get-right game. I think Chuba Hubbard has a career game as far as rushing yards. He definitely goes way over 100. I think the defense goes back to more man-to-man, and they bring more blitz pressures, and I'm thinking 35-10.
Gilmore's coming back, or starting, not coming back.
Yeah, true. Yeah, man, that's.
Snow said they ran a lot of zone, and they didn't bring a lot of pressure. I think they bring pressure this week, and I believe they play a lot of man-to-man, and they get after Daniel Jones, and they cause some turnovers.
How about this?
They need to play, man.
I'll bring up one last.
Yeah,
I'll bring up one last thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good, Nick. I'll bring up one last thing, and then we'll go to Nick for Nick's prediction. Phil Snow said offenses have max protected against the Panthers the past few weeks, ever since the Cowboys had success doing that. Compounding that Vikings is Panthers gave up a couple of big games on plays when Minnesota only had 2 or 3 receivers en route. So, yeah, man, Dallas laid out the blueprint. And I think that if we're going to look, especially me and Tony, we've been very complimentary of Phil Snow. I think we all have, especially the way our defense started, how fast we were, how aggressive we were. If it's that simple that offenses have just been running max protect and we haven't been able to adapt and change out of that, I'm sorry, but Phil Snow needs some of the criticism too, right?
I agree.
Am I wrong for that? I think he 100% needs that. If you knew that's been the problem and that's what teams were doing to us to prevent us from stopping the run, why wouldn't you combat that?
Snow should have saw that after the Cowboys game. He's been a defensive coordinator long enough to understand if one team's done it, somebody else is going to try it. At least draw up a game plan when you see it again. And he did.
Yes. And by the way, everyone go watch Brett Coleman's video that he made on the Carolina Panthers before we played the Cowboys. And then watch the same video after we played the Cowboys. And literally everything that the Panthers were doing successfully weeks 1 through 3, the Panthers went completely away from in the Cowboys game.
Yeah,
and now they're still doing it.
Who's the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys? I forget.
Kellen Moore.
The quarterback, former quarterback from Boise.
Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you need a head coach in this league right now, if you need a head coach, and you had Kellen Moore, I forgot his name, the Kansas City offensive coordinator, and Joe Brady.
Joe Brady slaps.
Give me a reason why you picked Joe Brady.
You don't. You take the enemy.
You would.
I mean, give me a reason why any other coach last year.
I'm going to make a little prediction. I don't think Joe Brady gets a lot of interviews this year.
He gets interviews.
Okay.
I'm not saying he won't get a interview. I'm just, you don't get a lot of them as many people's want. Because especially in the NFL, it's a put up or shut up league. You got to prove yourself. And right now, it's all Brady's all talk and no action.
And that's a legit criticism, man.
Hey, Joe,
and I really like the point that Drew made earlier too. There's no reason for our offense to fall off a cliff minus Christian McCaffrey because you had to do it all year last year anyway.
Right.
So why is this such a hard thing for you to overcome? I don't know. I don't understand.
The offensive line is terrible. It's worse than last year.
It's an incompetent coaching staff who builds their offensive system around a running back.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
I think they thought the offensive line would be better.
And if your offensive line was so damn good that you could do that, that's different. But it ain't.
No, it's
not.
And
it never has been for years anyway.
And by the way, Derrick Henry wouldn't look nearly as good as he does if he didn't have an offensive line that was able to run block for him, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the Browns game last night.
Yeah.
To build your team around a running back when you don't have the offensive line. And that's the perfect example. If anybody watched the Browns, they literally had a dude they elevated off the streets, I think. Came on. I think his name is Dearness. And he was one of the highest Pro Football Focus graded running backs this year. Even though the Browns, the Browns were missing Baker Mayfield, they were missing Nick Chubb, they were missing Kareem Hunt, but it didn't matter because they have a big bad offensive line.
And they were able
to do whatever they wanted to do.
He played a little bit.
One of my
he was hurt, but he just came back from IR.
One of my coworkers is a Denver fan, and he really rubbed it in hard after we lost the Super Bowl. And he kind of continues it. But yesterday, I literally got in trouble because I wouldn't leave him alone. I ragged him to death. I said, your team got his ass whooped by a backup quarterback and a third string running back.
You think they benched Teddy?
Don't tell me how great your team is. Just no way.
How ass?
No better than the Panthers or worse.
How ass does Teddy Bridgewater look right now?
He I was watching that game. I was like,
bad, man.
That's my first time watching him. Like play with Denver. I'm like, he's awful.
Dude,
you mean Tedisha Dumpster Water?
Yeah,
Tedisha Dumpster Water. I do know a girl by that name. Yeah. Nick, you have joined me on every Friday free for all, brother, and now I am looking to you to give me your prediction, man. Is this a get right game? Is it going to be close because our O-line is trash? What's the deal, man? Tell me what's happening.
I got to be that guy that stands out and is different, and I hate to do it, but our team has shown that once we start losing, we don't know how to stop.
Oh no! Don't do it, brother.
I agree with that.
Oh no!
I think it's gonna be a repeat of the Eagles, man.
Oh,
1-18. 1-5 team.
I would not be
nobody on the offense.
I don't. Hey, the way that I look at it is going that way. It's a win-win. Either I'm right or we win. So,
but the question is, if it happens, what does Tepper do? And I say Tepper. What does David Tepper do?
Oh, Tepper jumps out of his box head first during the fourth quarter.
I mean, if I'm Matt Rhule, I'm avoiding David Tepper for all I can.
He won't
avoid
David Tepper because Monday morning, David Tepper's going to be sitting in Matt Rhule's office.
Yep.
Also,
Yeah,
Daniel Jones
basically,
is
if
coming
we-
out with concussion, so you don't know what the hell is going on in his head.
So
Basically, if I'm Matt Rhule and we lose, I get right in my truck and I just drive home and I never come back.
there was a common misconception that in that game last week that David Tepper was in the booth by himself. And if you listen to Steve Smith on WFNZ, you'll find out the Smith was up there with him, but Smith just happened to be out of the camera when they shot on Tepper. And Steve Smith has some entertaining comments about David Tepper in that booth.
He probably left him alone.
What did he say? I didn't.
He just basically, he didn't, Steve Smith throws his little comments out, but he basically said David Tepper was extremely pissed.
Yeah, he looked it.
He really was, and Steve reiterated that if it don't turn around, David, that somebody going to pay.
Yeah.
So.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we get out of here, and before Cody, you choose your pick. What happened between last year and this year on special teams? Okay, why are we no longer going for the fake punt? Why are we having all these just shit plays on special teams? I mean, Frankie Luvu coming up with the big save. Put that one aside. Last year, we had nothing but compliments for Chase Blackburn. He turned around the entire punt return. We went from dropping just about at least one punt a game during the 2019 season to not. I don't think we dropped a single punt in last season. Doing the fake punts, the whole 9 yards.
Somebody's gonna fumble a punt tomorrow that Sunday.
Well, hey,
dude, I think
21-18.
You have to point some fingers at Chase Blackburn, huh?
Maybe we just want the players.
He's the special team coach. I mean, if we're gonna say that special teams is consistently bad, well, there's only one through line with our special teams, and that's Chase Blackburn. I mean, a lot of people kind of think that maybe even that Frankie Luvu blocked punt saved his job too, because
maybe that's the problem. We don't have consistent players on special teams.
I mean, listen, especially a lot was made of that Philadelphia game, but let's really remember special teams is what really lost us that football game. That big time block punt, dude, that was huge, man. That turned the momentum right in their favor. Can't have that, dude. Can't have it. Can't have it.
I just don't get why we haven't even gone for the fake punt and all. There's been quite a few times where we could have made something happen.
Yeah, man. I just don't think it was very well coached.
Look at last week, right before the half. When we were in field goal range, and then we drove ourselves out with penalties. We still could have made something happen there. And what's the worst that you do? You give them the ball on, the 40-yard line. They still have to go 60 yards. Our defense showed up to play last week, so it's not like we couldn't trust the defense.
By the way, Tyler Olinger, you must not have been here very long, dude, because I was definitely complaining about Ron Rivera. I was saying that we should have fired Ron before the start of that year, man.
I complained about John Fox toward the ends too.
Again, man, there are these fans, and again, I'm not saying necessarily that this is you, Tyler, but like there are fans that think that once you start to levy criticism on the coaches of the football team, that it's like you're not pulling for the football team. Well, no, we're saying that we have seen enough of a sample size of Matt Rhule as a head coach that now there are legitimate criticisms that can be made of the man. And if they are there to be made, then we're not going to not come on here and say what the problems are. I mean, he has mismanaged the offensive line. Brady Christiansen playing left tackle this week potentially should be enough to prove that point.
Cody, Ron Rivera and John Fox had less talent in their first two seasons, and Matt Rhule's had the same record as them in their first 2 seasons.
But both teams, both Rivera and Fox, were previous coordinators who knew what they were doing, and both of them had guys who had played, who had been former. Both of them had experienced offensive coordinators and experienced coaches on their team, and they didn't mind going out and getting a bunch of free agents who knew what they were doing and knew the systems. Matt will go out and get folks that knows his systems, but they're not really starters in it. Most of them aren't starters from anywhere else. I mean, look at the safeties we've got right now. Chandler, and I give Chandler a bunch of devil all the time, and Tony knows it. So, and Franklin, and both of them, now granted, they're all right. They may be great special teams players, but they're not starting safeties, and they shouldn't be back there starting. And they're just not. I mean, but they are, because that's what Matt Rhule wants.
Yeah, man. And the biggest.
That we,
go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Cody. Go ahead.
But no, I was just gonna say, like, we have continuously seen mismanagement of, 1, load management for Christian McCaffrey, 2, playing worse veterans on the offensive line instead of giving your rookies a chance. Overall, just not playing your young players. I mean, and then especially when you look at the Panthers coming out being flat in the third quarter all year and not being able to put up points. What is it about this football team that can't put up points reliably after halftime? Like, there's just,
and not having an answer for it.
Yeah, and not having an answer. There's no excuse for it. At this
we have an old offensive line. They're already tired out by the third quarter.
Justin, you with us, bro?
Yeah, I'm bad, man.
Nah, you're fine, man. Give us your prediction, bro. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen in this here game, dude?
I want to see, as I said before, like I'm extending that belief that I have that Sam can be a starting level. Like, I'm not asking for him to be an MVP. I'm asking for him to be a competent QB, and I think that starts with Brady putting him in better positions to make easier reads, using his athleticism, calling some QB option, calling some plays like that. Defensively, the Giants don't have anyone on offense that really worries me other than Daniel Jones with his scrambling ability. So I think our defense will get to him early and often, get him off his point, get him off his game. But offensively, in all honesty, I can see us going into the half, going into the second half of the game up 21-0 or 28-0. I want to see Brady put more points up on the board. Like, call plays that shows that, I see what I've been doing wrong the last couple of weeks. It hasn't been. Say again?
Keep the foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I want to see it because I've yet to see. Mind you, it is the Giants, and in my honest opinion, I would say that if we played our C game, we could probably, like, the defense could be on their C game, offense could be on their C game, and still beat them. But I want to see complete domination of a team that's not in it. Like, I forget who said it. Like, we're 2 bad teams. Like, we're not a bad team. We just haven't lived up to. We haven't put a complete game together, offensively and defensively. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm hoping for. I won't say I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping for, because expectations will let you down quicker than anything. Hope. I keep hope in my heart. I don't always expect a whole lot.
I like that, man.
It's also going to take Sam Darnold to break those bad habits. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Sam needs to have a big game, dude. He's going back up to MetLife. I mean, that's where he would play all his football. It's not the same team, but that's where he would play. This is an opportunity to exercise some demons, bro. Like, go out there and show out, man. Especially everybody saw Teddy Bridgewater play football last night. He's not looking good. Now there are Panther fans, many prominent Panther people, man, both on YouTube and on Twitter, that still think that we were better off with Bridgewater And it's like, dude, if you're Sam, go out there and ball, man. Be the player that we all think that you can be. And don't revert back to this happy feet having, scared quarterback that is afraid to stand in the pocket and throw the football. You already know your offensive line is shit. You already know you're going to take some shots. Brace yourself, stand in the pocket, make some throws, be accurate, and let's move the football, man.
Cody, he stands in the pocket with PJ Walker on the field.
I mean, hey, dude, I don't know what else to say. Joe Brady needs to start moving him out the pocket. Something, man. I'm hoping that it's a domino effect where Brady Christiansen playing at left tackle. I'm hoping that he plays well. I'm hoping that if we have the left and right side set, that maybe that might bode well for us in the middle. I don't know, man. I know they got Dexter Lawrence, who was a Clemson Tiger, big, powerful dude.
And don't they have Leonard Williams?
Yeah, they have Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence. So they have power up the middle, man. I'll be interested to see. I'll be interested to see the run pass splits. Like, how much more are the Panthers indeed going to run the football?
One thing
Matt Rhule is saying that we're definitely going to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to run it at least 30 times a game.
One thing that worries me on the running. Is not attempting to run, but actually doing it. We mentioned the Cleveland game. Cleveland also has an excellent fullback. The Titans got a good fullback. We have a fourth string tight end who pretends he's a fullback, who, by the way, probably won't play tomorrow or Sunday. So, I mean, that's who we got at fullback. We don't really have a fullback. Let's just go without saying that the only true tight end we have that knows how to block is a rookie that they like to use that they haven't used a fullback yet.
Yeah, I want to. Isn't that why we kept that dude Giovanni Ricci or whatever?
Yep.
Like, that's why we kept him, to be the fullback.
Right, and he's like a four-string tight end, technically.
Yeah,
he's really a four-string tight end who didn't cut it at tight end, but they liked him, so they kicked him into. How you do it? That's just basically what it is. Here, you do it. We need a fullback. Everybody says we got to have a fullback. Hey, Richie, you the guy.
I want to see Sam start to develop that. I'm pretty sure everybody saw that clip where Aaron Rodgers scores the touchdown, and he's telling the Bears fans, "I own you. I've always." I want Sam to develop that type of mentality starting.
What type of confidence, man?
You gave up on me, so this is what you could have had. I'm gonna own you, motherfuckers, for the rest of my career, and not just you guys, the rest of the NFL. Like, in my honest opinion, I saw that in that last drive where he's like, "Okay, I can't." So-and-so, DJ's covered, Robbie's covered. Oh, here's a lane. Let me go. And, I mean, dude was putting the ball in perfect spots in that last drive. The throw to Ian, the throw to DJ. I want to see that. That meant, like, to me, that his mentality at that moment was, man, fuck this. We getting this shit done. We're not going out like we did last week.
Yeah.
For us to keep winning games. For us to keep winning games, Sam needs to rush for more than 50 yards himself.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a lot for a quarterback, but given Sam's tendencies, that's the only thing that's going to really keep us in games is if he stops trying to throw the ball every play. And he goes back to using his legs, trusting his running backs, setting up multiple back sets, and using our tight ends as blocking tight ends.
That goes back to Brady. Brady needs to you can take the best quarterback in the NFL, and I guarantee you, his best friend will always, besides a good offensive line, his best friend will be a solid run game. So that designing plays where Sam, like, not just where like I said, Sam rolling out of the pocket. If you stick to the run, even if you ain't getting even if your running back's not gashing the other team, if you show a willingness to stick to the run. The play action, like the Vikings game, was a good example of that. Cook didn't go off on us until midway through the third, towards the end of the game, from like midway through the third and on, because the Vikings were like, okay, you've been keeping us from getting what we wanted, but your defense starts to wear out. She was not that kind of running back where I think where his body, his physique is just going to tire guys out, but his speed, like just having to go from. I've said this before. I don't know if anybody saw the stat. I think it was this past Monday game. Well, they were showing the stat for Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
his stats throughout the first, like the 4 quarters of the game, he gets like 2 yards in the first quarter, 3 yards in the third, 4 yards in the third quarter, and then by the fourth quarter, he's averaging 6 yards per carry. I don't think Chuba has that kind of body, but I can see a situation where it's like, bro, I'm tired of trying to chase this dude down. And you can still get guys like that's how the play action becomes a thing, bootlegs, along with just rolling Sam out of the pocket. Doing that, just the guys ain't open, pick up some yards with your legs and get out of bounds or get down.
That's why Tannehill's good now.
Like I said,
he has a run game.
Well, I mean, the bootleg works real good for the Titans, like it did the first 3 games for the Panthers, is because they were scared of the roughs running. I mean, the people they load the box up to stop Derrick Henry, and then they just bootleg it to whatever they want. Actually,
yeah, but it always seems like Sam has success running the football, and I really want us to run him a little bit more, man. I mean,
it helps with read option with Christian
and just use his mobility, man. We've seen Sam Darnold make plays rolling to his right.
I agree.
Do more of that, man. Do more of that. He's a mobile quarterback. And honestly, I think it helps. One, it's intuitive. If your offensive line is shit, don't have your quarterback plant his feet and sit there behind it. Roll him out a little bit. Yeah, I know, but that's why he's getting the happy feet.
Yeah, I think it helps his confidence too.
But also, if your offensive line is struggling, you're helping them out too by rolling the quarterback out of the pocket. Last thing I'll say, put some RPO into this, man. Like let Sam run a run pass option, either to hand it off to Chuba or take it himself. If that defensive end crashes, then Sam needs to go haul ass. And I don't know why we don't do more of that with him. I have seen far less mobile quarterbacks be able to do that. And they're able to do it successfully, man.
I think teams fear McCaffrey, but they don't fear Chuba.
They need to give the rest of the NFL a reason to fear Chuba. So 2 things. I'm of the mindset that if you have a quarterback that's fairly athletic, if you're worried about Sam is not at that point in his career where he can pick defenses apart just by throwing the ball. Settle him into the game by getting him involved in the run game. The second thing, like I said, the Panthers need to give the NFL a reason to fear Chuba. Chuba is very similar to I don't want to compare speed or anything, but Chuba's very comparable to CMC in their running abilities in that they're slashers. They don't have to build or just body a guy time and time again, and you just get sore from it. If you, like I said, you commit to the run, I think through the last 3 games, we've averaged around like 20-something rushing attempts, which is ridiculous. We should be averaging what Rhule said, around 30 rushing attempts. And it doesn't need to be all Chuba. But if you show teams in each one of the games that Chuba's been a starter, I feel like he's been a few carries away from breaking one. Whether he houses it, whether he takes it for a touchdown or not. Each one of the games, I feel like he's been a few touches away from just taking one for 30, 40, 50 yards. Yeah. And that's when Brady's like, okay, I'm going to stop. Sam, go out there. We need you to throw us back into the game. Like, no. Every quarterback's best friend will always be
will always be that dominant run game, man. And I think Chuba Hubbard has looked really impressive too, man. I've been impressed with Chuba every single time I see him. And I know people, drag him over hot coals for the drops, and I get it. But I also never expected him to be that kind of running back. So when he's just running the football, I think he does well. Hey,
but you got to catch the easy ones, though.
Hey, hold on, real quick. Shout out to the big homie Nirvash for the $20, man. Love you, dude. Appreciate it. He says, I don't understand why the offense can't play the whole game with the urgency they had in the last drive, last game to force overtime. most of the game they play like they have a 28-point lead or something. Dude, there's no urgency, man. This is a fantastic comment. They let their foot off the gas and go back to depending on their defense. And then Matt Rhule doubles down on it when the defense lets the offense come back and get points on them. Meanwhile, the offense for the Panthers has done nothing to complement this defense. They don't run hurry up. They don't move Sam outside the pocket. They go away from Chuba right when Chuba's finally starting to get ahead of steam. It doesn't make sense, man. And this is where we go back to legitimate criticisms of Matt Rhule. Everything that we're saying is a legitimate criticism, yet they keep on, rearing their ugly heads time and time again, man.
Hey, are we taking any bets on how long it'll take Sam Darnold to use a timeout in the first quarter?
It's going to happen.
3 minutes, 20 seconds.
How long does it take you to throw a pick?
He better not throw any.
It'll take him longer than it did for last week.
I want complete domination. You can't dominate if you're turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to step up. If we don't step up this week, even if we win, but it's not a good win, something's gonna happen. I feel like someone's gonna get fired.
To answer that gentleman's question, let's remember back when Cam was a rookie. Cam had a lot of leaders on that team, but I remember the year after when we first had Rhule that year, or we first had Greg Olsen that year. And I remember countless times Greg Olsen would motion to everybody, let's hurry up. Let's get on that rhythm. Let's get going. We just don't have that guy there. Sam's okay, but he's not that rah-rah guy. Robbie's all right, but he's not a rah-rah guy. We don't have a rah-rah guy. We don't have a guy that's going to motivate the troops.
Yeah, man.
One thing I'll say, you said that if they don't win convincingly, somebody gets fired. I don't think anybody will get fired, but if it's definitely an offensive issue, I think Matt Rhule gets more involved in taking over some of the play calling.
I think somebody gets benched.
Well, Matt Rule's never called plays. I don't know. I would say he may get the quarterback.
If his job's on the line, I bet you he finds a way to get involved.
That might not be good.
If Matt Rhule is going to get involved in play calling, then what does Joe Brady even do for us?
I mean, reality, we don't have anybody on our roster other than Joe Brady who's ever called plays.
Honestly, Cody, what has Joe Brady done for us so far?
Nothing, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, and listen, he had the opportunity, man. I don't want to hear about the O-line. I don't want to hear about McCaffrey because we've all literally in the past 30 minutes illustrated what the Panthers could have done to mitigate some of these damages, right? Play the younger guys, move Sam around, spread the ball around, and they make no adjustments. And then they wonder why they do the same thing over and over and wonder why they get the same result all the time. I believe that's the definition of insanity. 100%, dude. So, man, look, we're going on. Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, Cody, what would you feel? How would you feel about letting Sam call some of the plays throughout the game?
I don't trust him. Why would I?
I don't trust him either.
I don't even see Sam making enough checks and audibles at the line of scrimmage.
We did play two great pass defenses in the past two games.
He did, but I have no faith in Sam Darnold being the type of quarterback that is so involved with the playbook and is so heavy into the X's and O's. That he could essentially be a coach on the field. I haven't seen anything to indicate that Sam is that kind of player. So
nope.
Now, if we lose this week, would you be open to at least trying it for a little bit just to see?
If he has the capacity to do so, sure. But one, I don't think he does. Number two,
I don't think
even if he did, the coaches wouldn't let him do it. And then number three, I don't know if there is a number three. Number three, I don't even know. Even if he did it, I don't even know that would be the right call. Like, who's to say that Sam would be able to get into the right play call, man? I don't know, dude. I just think our offense, especially with how many players they're missing, our offense better be able to do something. The
only reason why I say that is just because it's obvious that Joe Brady just isn't the right guy for our offense. You know, just the moves that he's made, being coordinator, it shows that he's not the right person for the job.
But do you think Rhule would make a change at the end of the year? I mean, if per se Brady doesn't get a head coaching interview, our job.
I don't think Rhule makes the change. I think Joe Brady makes the change for us, and I don't think that change will happen until that happens.
The sad part about it is, I don't think anyone's ass feels hot.
No,
I feel like Joe Brady and Matt
next year
Rhule, they think that they have the rest of this year and the rest of next year before they're forced to really do something. I think
they have signed a what-year deal.
I think they're at 7. 7-year deal.
Yeah, why would you?
When you have that kind of job security, man, yeah, I just don't foresee a scenario that they're on the hot seat, man.
Unless his emails get leaked.
Well, that's the thing, Cody. You had called it. You had called it whenever we signed him. That the length of the deal basically showed that Dave Tepper knows that it's a multi-year process to get us to where we want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a multi-year process, and he's banking on the fact that Matt Rhule is his guy. And, I commend David Tepper for not doing the whole after every single year, fire a coach, hire a coach, fire a GM, hire a GM. Like that's never a recipe for success either. At the same time, you have to know that you hired the right coaches. And right now, we don't know that we did, to be frank.
No.
Damn, man. But look.
One thing, real quick, one thing, though, that David Tepper also said that he expects to see improvements year to year. And I'm not certain that you got that. I mean, we've got a better defense, but we've also, after free agency, after this year and free agency, are we going to have a better defense?
Well, that's the good thing about the NFL is that you literally have a number record to compare it to. And you're going to be able to look at offensive production, defensive production. And if this team is just marginally better or even worse than it was last year, yeah, dude, I really – this is uncharted territory, man. We have no idea what David Tepper does in these types of scenarios. He's never had to fire someone that he hired himself and paid gave him a 7-year contract worth a number of millions of dollars. We don't know. We don't know what David Tepper is built like in these types of situations, man. So
Cody, would you agree that if J.C. Horn hadn't gone out with the injury, that our record would be different right now? That we would probably be 5-1 or maybe even 6-1?
I think we would have beaten Philadelphia, and
Shaq Thompson too.
And I think that we would have had a better chance against Dallas. I think our lack of man coverage ability has hurt the football team because our defense, our front seven, isn't being able to play as aggressive because of that. And now opposing quarterbacks, they're feasting on the middle of the field. Like they're taking advantage of zone coverage, of no Shaq Thompson, and they're just finding the soft spot in the zone and just hurting us, man.
He's out again this game.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And, I agree with that, and I think that needs to be put into consideration. Let's face it. Your first round draft pick, you don't expect them to go out week 3. You expect them, if they get injured, it's later on in the season. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration when looking at this year as a whole.
Shaq is our wild
Christian McCaffrey, it is what it is. It sucks. But, you kind of know that that's going to happen at some point. Even though last year he was injured for a majority of the season. And same thing with Shaq. You expect him to go down at least a little bit, or you expect players like that to go down. But you don't expect J.C. Horn to go down just because of how young he is and how new he is.
Yeah, true. And, and it's also connected to Thursday night football, and that's typically when players get injured because it's a short week too. So that kind of clouds things a little bit too. I don't know. He never had an injury history at South Carolina. I mean, unless Justin and Kevin can tell me something that I don't know. He was never really an injury prone player.
Neither did Greg Olsen until his first injury here.
Yeah, and that's what I always say, man, that you're not injury prone until you are. Cam Newton was never injury prone. That dude flipped his truck before a fucking football game and still went out there and did his damn thing, man. But then once the injuries start happening, dude, they don't stop. It was the same thing with Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen never got hurt, was never injured. Even Christian McCaffrey up until last year, he had never been hurt and had never been injured. And then now look at it, man. So it's like, I don't know, dude.
That's part of the reason why I was saying when JC went down and they were saying we could get him back. I was like, nah, just go ahead and get surgery, get your body right 100% so you can come back and pick up where you left off. Like we our cornerback room ain't hurting. Like we'd be better having JC on the field than we currently are. But I also saw like Shaq is out, but we get Hartsfield back possibly.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember if Hartsfield was the starter or Burris was the starter, but
I mean, none of those names inspired too much confidence in me, man.
Yeah. And Shaq was the raw guy too of the team.
When did you trade for Jordan Hicks?
Refresh my memory. Who's that again?
The middle linebacker for the Cardinals. He's a veteran middle linebacker that right now the Cardinals have both they have Isaiah Simmons and Xavier Collins starting. He's kind of like the beginning of the offseason, they were talking about trading him because they told him he wouldn't be the starter anymore. And he didn't like it, but just nobody traded for him. He
need more assets.
And even then, I'm not. Yeah, again, you're talking about giving up assets, but also, I haven't been really. I've been impressed with Jermaine Carter. I think Jermaine Carter's played well.
Oh God!
I just think that he isn't a premier athlete, so he kind of has to win with his head, kind of similar to how Luke did, although Luke was a much better athlete. But yeah, man, the Panthers need a lot. We need a lot of depth still, safety position, linebacker position. And again, I know we talk about, should we have drafted Justin Fields? And should we have drafted Rashawn Slater? By the way, the answer might be yes for both of them.
Not for Justin Fields.
It doesn't change. Fine, that's fine, but it doesn't change the fact that I think J.C. Horn is going to be a very good player for the Carolina Panthers for a lot of years to come. And look, man, I want to leave on a positive note. We're going to play the Giants. We should not listen. We should have a good game against the Giants. If we don't, you already know what to do. You're going to come right back here and bitch to us, man. That's what this podcast is for. If you appreciate the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. I want to tell people to hit the like button, but right now on my end, there's 69 likes, and that's nice. If you know what I'm saying. That's nice, man. Anyway, I'm a dummy. I am the host of the Friday Free-For-All. I want to thank everybody for coming on with me. I want to give everyone an opportunity to tell where you can find you on Twitter. We'll start with Drew. Drew, I appreciate you joining me, man. Where can they find you?
Not a problem, man. AJ Lindsay 1216 on Twitter. Keep pounding. Let's get them on Sunday, guys.
Keep pounding. Oh, I never made my prediction.
Yeah.
I'll make it real short and sweet. I'll say 24-17. Or no, 24. I'll say 24-13 Carolina. I think that's a good prediction. I think our defense should bounce back. I think our offense should be able to run the ball with Chuba Hubbard. And hey, listen, I've kind of poo-pooed it but maybe the Panthers moving to running the football more, maybe that is a good deal for us, man. And maybe this is something that helps us out for the rest of the season. I don't know. Only time will tell. But
the Panthers should not give up more than 9 points.
Yeah, they shouldn't. But we'll see what happens.
But they will.
We'll also see how first appearance of Stephon Gilmore too.
Yeah,
they're working him into the rotation. That technically is still questionable right now, but I don't know, man. We'll see. I venture to say that he's probably gonna play.
Yep.
So, yep. Kevin Boshoven, tell them where they can find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at kbosh89. Talking shit to Cody about his whack ass Tigers. They losing. They suck. It's over.
Dude, let me tell you, we play Pitt tomorrow.
Will they always give y'all trouble?
Well, and dude, this year Pitt is like a legitimate football team.
Really?
Their quarterback is throwing dimes all over the field, dude. I'm like,
Wouldn't Clemson have a losing record after that if they lose?
No, we're 4-2 right now. We would be 5-3. It's rough, dude. It's rough, but let's move on here. Kenneth,
Wait, yeah.
Panther Pickle, Panther Rhule. Tell them where they can find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Panthers Pickle, or in the chat box on one of these podcasts about the Carolina Panthers. I'm probably in all of them anyway, and I love to come to the post game show and rag the defense, rag the defense.
Yeah, man. Dude, you get pretty upset during those post games.
Oh boy, I do.
Dude,
I do.
Especially after the game. Yeah, I see that.
I do.
That
I get too emotional for my own good sometimes.
Oh, dude, that's why I don't. You will never see me on the show like during the football game. Right. Dude, I'm fucking cussing. I'm screaming, dude.
I do that way. I do that.
Cody, I want to watch a game with you at some point.
Hey,
I feel like that
That's me. That's me during a Panther game. I pace the floor and kick things, and
it makes me question whether I actually like this team or like football because I'm
it makes me question your life decision.
You should do a live reaction show during the game.
Dude. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, what's up?
You could have a free for all live reaction.
It's gonna be a lot of fucks getting thrown
YouTube
out.
wouldn't like that one.
Hey, maybe one day we can try it out and see how that goes. But I don't know. I'll probably say some dumb shit. Justin just jumped off, but shout out to Justin. Appreciate you, bro. Nick. He's been with me every Friday, man. I think Kevin has too. Kevin, you've been here every Friday, I think.
Almost. I think I missed the first couple ones, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude,
he's been showing up quite a bit too.
Oh yeah, dude. Drew, dude, you got all of you, man. You're all of my Friday free for all crew, man. I definitely appreciate
you was part of the post game show last week or this week.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's true, man. But all of these guys were, man. So I definitely appreciate it. Nick, Monty's Motorsports, tell them where they can find you online, bro.
You can find me on Instagram. I am down to talk about anything under the sun. Marvel, football, cars, you name it. I'm down to talk about it. But give me a follow on Instagram and just check out what I've been doing with the Jeep.
I'm hearing Immortals is supposed to be fucking nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. Hey, did y'all have y'all seen Dune yet? Dune?
No, I won't see it. I'm going to the theaters to watch it.
Yeah,
I have HBO Max. I'm going to the theaters.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man. I definitely recommend it. But yeah, man, listen, that's it for the Friday free for all. We've gone 3 hours or 5 hours short, but I appreciate everyone for joining us, man. This is your show, and whoever's hearing my words right now, this is your show. You can come on. You can make your opinion heard about the Carolina Panthers. I appreciate everyone joining me on this video today. Drew, Kevin, Nick, Kenneth, I definitely appreciate all of you. Until the post-game show this Sunday after the Panthers beat the Giants, until then, keep pounding.
Keep hoping.
Pounding.
Keep pounding.